Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Court Martial Podcast. Introducing your host for this evening first. He is the host with the most from the West Coast, the Bay Area Brawler, Skylar Greenberg. And his partner, he has colonized, energized, and revolutionized the podcasting wrestling world today. Your Colonial champion, Sean McCarty. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting edition of the Court Martial Podcast. Today, ACPW NWL Season 3, Episode 7. I am your Colonial Champion, Sean McCarty, and proprietor of Atlantic Coast Pro Wrestling, bringing you the Midsummer Showdown, but not yet. Because I'm going second today in our fantasy booking warfare, and first is leading off this man. He's the proprietor of the NWL. He is a terrific example of what West Coast style can and should be. He's the classiest act. He's the man of the hour. He's the man of the power. He is too sweet to be sour. He is the Bay Area Brawler himself, Skylar Greenberg. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, what do you know? I'm not in a fish tank.
Yeah, it's good to have you back here in the land of the terrestrial.
Yeah, it was just one of those things where last week when I was on my way home, work was taking an extra long time for me, so that's why I was stuck in traffic. And I just figured I'd rather just get the show over with, because if I had waited until we got home, we wouldn't have had a show. Well,
we were both pressured that week. You know, I was out at a wedding. You know, we recorded that earlier than normal, but it was either that or no show. So I think I'm definitely happy with how it came out, and you definitely sounded better the more that you got, you know, the further into the show you got. So, but regardless, it's nice to hear you audible once again.
Yes, it is, and I'm looking forward to doing this show because, admittedly, the first 2 months of the World Cup has been a lot of setup, and that's what today's show is going to be. But there's going to be some payoffs.
That's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to it. It should be a very fun show. But you were telling me right before we started the program, sir, that we have a couple things to discuss before we dive into our shows this week.
Yes, normally I would just go right into my show, but given what's been happening, I think we need a little bit of the news of the week.
Coming straight to you from the Golden Gate Garage, this is the Wrestle News with Skylar Green.
That is right, folks. It is News of the Week with the Bay Area Brawler. Skylar Greenberg at your service. And Sean, you had to know that we were going to talk about this one.
I did. I'm excited
about this one.
Let's do it.
So, everyone was talking about what happened Wednesday night on Dynamite on the 17th. And the CM Punk's promo return to AEW.
Yes.
So, here's the thing, is that this promo that CM Punk got to do at the start of Dynamite, have you actually seen the promo?
Yes. I did watch the promo. And I will post the link in the description to AEW's shitty audio version of it. But it will be in the description, so you will get to see what we're talking about, so you get the full context at home.
Right. Now, the whole thing about this promo is that this promo is supposed to be CM Punk setting up the matchup against Jon Moxley to unify the two world titles. The one that CM Punk has and the interim one that Jon Moxley has.
Right.
But CM Punk begins the promo by taking a chance to go off script and take a little bit of a shoot at Adam Hangman Page. And the reason why is because during the feud between Punk and Page, Adam happened to mention a certain friend of CM Punk known as Colt Cabana, and Punk's treatment of Colt Cabana.
Right.
This, of course,
I do remember this.
This, of course, stems from CM Punk and Colt Cabana's lawsuit versus WWE. Now, the big thing about this is that apparently CM Punk didn't really like this fact, held on to this, and we know CM Punk, he holds grudges.
Yeah, you think?
I know. That's the thing, though, that CM Punk was really pissed at Adam Hangman Page. The rumors, of course, was him talking with AEW and saying, I am never doing a job for Adam Hangman Page. Never.
Was that before or after he threatened to walk out?
So this was basically at the same time. It's like, I am never doing a job for Adam Hangman Page. And if you even suggest it, I'm gone.
Now,
I'm done. I'm not doing that.
Now, let me ask you this, Guy, before you continue. Was that really the plan? Was that the plan, was to give Adam Page the belt back?
No. That's the thing, is that you have to remember, the reason CM Punk said all of this before he won the world title from Page. Remember, the two of them, they feuded with each other. This happened at the time. But of course, CM Punk held on to that type of grudge.
Right.
But no, there was no plan to involve Adam Hangman Page in whatever CM Punk and Jon Moxley are about to do.
Got it.
So, here's my question. When we were still watching AEW at the time, granted we aren't watching now because the quality has really dropped since Punk left.
Yeah. Punk is actually, his promo is the first thing I've actively watched of AEW's, I think, since he left.
Basically, because we couldn't take it. I mean, you and me both soured on Adam Hangman Page. We were done with him, and we wanted the world title on Punk.
Yes.
Here's my question for you.
Yeah.
With Adam Hangman Page suddenly being mentioned by Punk, do they go back to that feud?
I can't imagine they would. I can't imagine now that they could. I mean, maybe for a match. But I don't see why Page would want to engage in that. I mean, what does that do for Adam Page? Because if Punk's not going to job to him, then what's the point of having Page in the title picture? And besides, what has Page done since losing the title?
Gone back to the Dark Order.
And done what?
He's in the Trios tournament.
Oh, joy! That you mean the one that Kenny Omega and the Bucks are going to win, right?
No, that's the tournament that Adam Cole and Redragon are going to win.
Oh, right. Of course. Silly me. That's the finals in what will definitely be one of the most skippable matches on whatever pay-per-view that happens at.
All Out.
Oh, there you go. It's happening soon. And as far as the Court Martial podcast members are concerned, we are all out. As in, no, we're not watching it. So
yeah, because I would rather watch Clash at the Castle. I mean, the matches that we're getting at Clash at the Castle, one match on that show is better than every match on All Out.
Yeah. I mean, unless that's the plan now, is they're going to do Punk Page again at All Out, because now that they've hot-shotted Moxley and Punk to this Wednesday, what does that mean for him in the world title going forward, unless they're going to keep the belt on Moxley?
Well, the answer is that they still plan to have CM Punk face Moxley in a title unification match at All Out.
Oh, so they're just going to do some stupid non-finish then this week.
Exactly. They're going to do a stupid non-finish, or they're going to try to do the match, and then halfway through, something's going to happen. Maybe one disqualifies the other. Maybe someone runs in from the back. I don't know. Like
Hangman Adam Page, perhaps?
Yeah. That's the thing, is that this match is going to be an advertisement. We're going to give you a title match. No, we're actually going to give it to you at a later point. We're going to give you a sample of it right now. It's a weird way to sell a pay-per-view, Tony Khan, not going to lie.
Yeah, well, we've seen worse from everyone's favorite addict.
Right. Now, here's the thing. Let me get more into the Punk and Page stuff.
Yes,
right?
Please do. Please do.
Now, of course, CM Punk was pissed about the Adam Hangman Page promo and made the threat of, I'm never jobbing the Page, and if you make me do, I'm going to quit.
Right.
There were reports that Punk almost didn't show up to Dynamite this Wednesday on the 17th of August. And Punk, for the most part, he kept a cool head. He didn't seem agitated or distracted or anything like that. He was just his usual self until he got to the promo when he mentioned Page and went off script.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure that Punk was like, you know what? I'm going to wait until the moment they can't stop me to mention this.
What a surprise. Not the first time he's done it.
Yep. And that's also a little thing of like, we know CM Punk is egotistical. We know he's a bit arrogant. He's a bit cocky of himself. That's why he's so lovable, but also why he's such an asshole.
Right.
I mean, this is not new for CM Punk to act emotional and hold a grudge against somebody.
No,
I
yeah,
think
definitely not.
Triple H can vouch for that.
Yeah, well, what is your opinion on this before I make my opinion on this? Because I have some thoughts.
My question is CM Punk angry at just Adam Hangman Page, or is he also mad at the other members of the clique backstage? Because here's the thing about this. You have to remember, Adam Hangman Page is friends with the Young Bucks. He's friends with Kenny Omega. They're part of that group. And supposedly the locker room is kind of divided between a half that supports CM Punk and a half that supports Adam Hangman Page. We have to remember, the joke that was made at the beginning of All Elite Wrestling was that it was all friends wrestling. Because everyone that was on that roster was hired because they were friends with either the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, or Cody Rhodes.
Well,
so,
and another part of this that I heard, and I don't know how much truth there is to it, that beyond the Colt Cabana part of this, Punk was trying to give Paige advice that Paige did not want to take. And that also rubbed Punk the wrong way. And so I think that plus the addition of mentioning Colt Cabana probably just made this like lethal concoction that we are now witnessing bear fruit.
Yep, it's a festering situation. I've always known, there's a reason why I've never liked CM Punk. There's just something off with him. I can't deny his talent. He's one of the best wrestlers I've seen at the modern era, at least from the technical point and also from the promo game. And Punk has always been talented. I've never taken that away from him. But there is just a little bit in me that just doesn't like the fact that he loves himself so much and that he thinks he's hot shit. Because yeah, CM Punk is hot shit, but it's almost too much sometimes. And I just feel like there are words you say that you can't cash. And that's how I feel about CM Punk. Now,
well,
what do you feel about this?
Okay, because I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here, a little bit of a promo. Because this is something that I have waited almost, let's see, what year is it, 2022?
Yep.
I've waited 7 years to say this about CM Punk. And I wanted to make sure that I got all the facts right before I actually am able to say this. Because at the time, things were, no pun intended, a little raw and a little ignorant about the situation. Of course, we didn't hear the full-fledged end of CM Punk's side of the story during that. But this piece right here, what this whole interaction says to me, is that first, let me say, Sky, that you're right. You're right. CM Punk, I respect many things about CM Punk. I respect his accomplishments. I respect his ability. I respect the fact that he's always willing to say his mind. I respect that he is his authentic self. And it's amazing to me. It's fascinating that with all his gifts and with all his talents, he is also the biggest crybaby professional wrestling has ever seen. I have watched many men come and go in this wrestling business, and not a single human being, I don't care who it is, whether it's Hulk Hogan, who is obviously the brown noser who got everything he wanted, or it's someone like Goldberg who wanted to just mow over everybody because he didn't have any ignorance of it. But the thing is with Punk, you got everything you ever wanted. You got popular. I mean, really popular, because you sat down and whined about these people. And that is what made people like us, made the Smarks really what they are, because you started saying things that made the Smarks gain a little bit more credibility that they could say these things. And Punk walks away, and for years, people chant his name over and over and over. Anything they don't like, anything they're bored with. He becomes a cult of personality. I mean, I'm not trying to make a pun, but he really did. He really became a cult of personality in professional wrestling, where his aura alone was selling tickets. He comes back and he gets the hero's welcome. He's treated like a god. He's treated like somebody who has gotten the utmost respect, like he didn't run away for 7 years after he cried and got one of the longest title reigns in WWE history, after he cried and got put into major angles with major people. He wrestled The Undertaker at WrestleMania, and you know what he said to the WWE? Not good enough. He was going to wrestle what would be the future, and I understand what Triple H meant at this time with CM Punk. So I understand context matters in this situation. But you're up against what was going to be the heir apparent and now the leader of WWE, and that wasn't good enough for CM Punk. None of it was good enough for CM Punk because a newsflash, Brett, you're not as special as you think you are. And you never have been as special as you think you are. But you have got this God complex that you think you're a god amongst mortals when the reality is you're just a mortal who can talk good. And never have I seen such a grown man act like a goddamn child. And I am sick of all of these people giving him such credibility and saying that he was justified. And now, in all due respect, no one deserves to get fired on their wedding day. But if you're going to give WWE pettiness, you gotta expect pettiness in return. And I'm not saying that he deserved to be fired on his wedding day, but to leave the company high and dry like that, I don't care how exhausted you are. Yes, the system is flawed, and yes, he became a symbol for what was broken in WWE, but the fact of the matter is WWE gave him everything, and he was still not happy. He wins the title belt in AEW, and he's still not happy because he has Adam Page. And here we are in 2022, and he's behaving the exact same way, threatening to leave when he was given everything, when he is the draw for AEW. He is handed everything. People have lost everything in the professional wrestling business. People who put in their hard work, their blood, sweat, and tears for years and years and years to gain a tenth of the level of popularity and success that CM Punk has. And yet with Punk, it's not good enough. So Punk, take this from me. You're not Brett. You're just a punk.
You wanna know what you actually should have said?
What's that?
You're not Bret Hart. You're Shawn Michaels.
No, he's not, though. Because he varies himself better, and I don't want to call him the diva the way that Shawn was. Because it's...
But he is. If he doesn't like something, he'll complain and whine and bitch about it. The difference is that the way he complains and whines and bitch about it is to the people and not to the people in charge.
Shawn was indiscriminate. He would just cut a promo on everybody. He didn't care. He'd go against 40 Marines and we wouldn't give a damn. But
yeah, I agree. There are problems that CM Punk has, and that's the only thing too is that you can still make the argument that hey, CM Punk actually had to fight a staph infection that was misdiagnosed because Chris Armand said have a Z-Pack.
Yeah,
he never got the main event of WrestleMania, which he should have because he was carrying WWE on his back of a MRSA infection, but they kept giving him bullshit because John Cena's got a John Cena is John Cena.
Right, and I'm not saying that any of those points aren't true, because they are. They are completely true. But you also have to look at this from both sides of this equation. And just because he mentioned Colt Cabana, and here, I'll do this one for you, Punk. Hi, Colt Cabana, how you doing? The fact that Colt Cabana is that much of a bane on CM Punk when he's the reason that Punk got baby-faced into 7 years of relevancy in the first place. Let's not make Colt Cabana out to be the villain here. He's the only one that gave you the platform. So let's not throw stones that ought not be thrown. I don't care what the situation is between you two and the lawsuit and the revenue and all that crap. I don't care. That's your personal business. The fact that Punk wouldn't come to AEW until Colt Cabana was basically erased. You want to talk about walking away from your job? How about costing someone their job? They don't mention that on CM Punk's resume, do they?
Oh, yes. So, for the man who's supposed to be the voice of the voiceless.
I'm just saying that Punk has been at best hypocritical. At best. And like I said, Punk has been the best thing to happen to AEW. I am not taking that away from Punk. I said from the start, I respect his ability. I respect his authenticity. He's not going to change because of one thing or another. Whether that makes him a selfish prick is something else. You know, Shawn Michaels never strayed away from his authentic self. That just happened to be a pilled up, selfish prick. If you're gonna be one, own it. But don't act like you're this savior. Like you're this person who isn't acting like a toddler every chance that he gets. And I want Punk. Please, Punk, stay in AEW. Make something on that show worth watching. I'm not saying that you are not a valuable part in some part to professional wrestling, but I am not going to sit here and make you seem to be like you are the greatest thing to happen to professional wrestling when you're just going to act like the Young Bucks, but with a beard.
Right, and I'm going to say right now, this is going to be a really damn interesting thing to watch, because let's be honest, okay? This is going to be a situation that's going to continue for the rest of this year. I'm really, really interested to see if CM Punk ends up leaving AEW. Does he go back to WWE? I don't think so, right?
My heart says no, but my mind says maybe. Because it is a different WWE, but the whole reason Punk got upset in the first place was not because of Vince, but because of Triple H. And if Punk holds a grudge against Triple H, imagine how Triple H feels.
I know he's not healthy because of the heart issue, but god damn it, I want Triple H versus CM Punk in 2022.
It wouldn't be good. It wouldn't be any good.
It doesn't have to be good. We just need 2 or 3 minutes to watch CM Punk and Triple H just throw a few punches at each other, because you know that every single one of those punches will be stiff as hell.
What I'd like to see is Triple H kind of get into the Vince thing and send people like Rollins after Punk, and send some old Ring of Honor guys after Punk, and be like, oh, well, you got to play with the kids and make yourself the biggest, the guy at the top of the jungle gym on the playground, but why don't you step into the real territory again and prove that you were worthy of the spot you walked away from in the first place?
Yeah, although I feel like he would sick CM Punk with Roman Reigns.
Yeah,
let's be honest though.
It's at this point, it'll be interesting to see what Punk does, but if he walks away, it just proves every doubter and hater of his correct. And I know he doesn't really care, but if you're feeling like, despite the millions of dollars Tony Khan gave you and all the concessions that every wrestling company has given you, if you're not grateful enough to accept and appreciate all the things that you've been given, then maybe you deserve to be just watching your wife make money on comic books.
Ooh. Anyways.
All right, I'm done cutting a promo on Punk, but that's been 7 years coming. I've been waiting to say that for a long time. So thank you for letting me get that outlet on. And and thank you, Punk, for being at our co-main event on ACPW here tonight.
Thankfully, he doesn't hold a grudge against you, so he'll be working for you.
Well,
anyways,
you say this.
Go ahead. But yeah, we're gonna keep an eye on CM Punk and AEW, and we'll report on it as it happens. In the meantime, we need to go begin our shows and what we're here for today, and we're gonna begin with the National Wrestling League World Cup Series.
Let's do it. I'm pumped. Let's go.
And actually, let's begin with some announcements.
Announcements? Nani?
All right, so we have some announcements for the National Wrestling League. Now, I'm going to speak as an owner. This is going to be like a press release, okay? I'm not actually physically appearing because that's not my thing.
Fair enough.
And also, I don't want to steal from a certain gimmick that's coming up later. Anyways, the point is that the National Wrestling League Board of Directors, me and the 4 other members, have made a couple of executive decisions. Now, the first executive decision is that because of an injury that has happened to Kurt Angle, because of the attack by Eric Bischoff, Bobby Lashley, and Pat McAfee at last month's show, Kurt Angle is going to be on medical leave. Because of that, we're going to have an interim general manager that will be introduced at the beginning of today's show.
Ooh, all right. I'm up for that. Let's do it. What we got?
Right, so that will happen a little bit later. There has been a second executive announcement that has been made. The second executive announcement is the release of Jon Moxley from his contract with the National Wrestling League after video evidence has surfaced of
evidence
less than solely behavior, less than good behavior on conduct on behalf of the National Wrestling League. Now,
by the other world's champion also behaving like a child.
Yep. Now, Sean, you had your moment to do your promo about Jon Moxley, about CM Punk. Yep. I'm going to do my promo about Jon Moxley.
Yeah, this is all you, bud. I agree with everything you're about to say, though, I'm guessing.
So, when I drafted Jon Moxley, And I'm speaking out of kayfabe for a second.
Yes.
Go ahead. When I drafted Jon Moxley back in
the beginning,
January,
very beginning. Oh, this recent run.
Right, because I released him before because I was sick of Jon Moxley. I didn't really want to do anything with him. I had nothing to do with him. And I eventually just did an injury angle right off. But we have found out that Jon Moxley was dealing with alcohol. And I was like, you know what? There is a story to tell here. And the story I have to tell is very simple. I'm going to rehire him in January. And we're going to do the thing where he's going to say, you know, I was doing all these things. I was wrestling all the independent circuit because I just wanted to get back to my roots. But the real reason is that as I was doing this, I realized that my roots were not correct because they were leading me down a bad path that involved alcohol. And I was using alcohol to cover up the pain of me trying to relive my glory days back in the beginning of my wrestling career has really hurt me. But I realized that I need to grow beyond what I was at that time because I can't wrestle that independent wrestling style no more. I need to wrestle the way I need to wrestle in the now. I need to wrestle not as a man who is willing to put his life on the line, but a man who's willing to do what he needs to do to win, and nothing more, nothing less. And I have gotten rid of my alcohol addiction. I am alcohol free because I need to make sure that I provide for my future, for my wife, for my child. I need to be Jon Moxley, the baddest man on the planet, but Jon Moxley, the baddest wrestler on the planet. And I'm going to be that man. And I'm going to wrestle and be the best, and nobody can stop me. But you want to know what this gimmick was important upon, Sean?
What's that?
Do you want to know what it hinged on?
Reality?
Yes. It needed Jon Moxley to come to the realization that he needs to start doing the indie garbage bullshit matches. And then you want to know what happened?
Yeah, how's that going for you, Sky?
He kept doing the indie garbage bullshit matches. I was going to do this promo in, May or so? But then he started doing the indie matches again. I'm just like, you know what? I can't do this redemption character. But at the very least, I can still get a triple threat between him, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns out of the way. And I can sell a pay-per-view main event. That would be good, right?
Well, you say this.
I say this. But then, there was a video that surfaced recently on the internet that featured Jon Moxley wrestling a wrestler known as Effie for Game Changer Championship Wrestling. In case you're wondering, this was in a high school gym with like 70 people. But that's not important. What's important is that he was wrestling Effie, E-F-F-Y.
Yeah, honestly, I don't mean to interrupt you, Sky, but like, that's really Moxley's bread and butter. When we saw the Nick Gage Dark Side of the Ring, Moxley was like, I'd rather be in front of 60 people doing stupid stuff than in front of arenas of actual selling interested crowds. So I'm not surprised that he did this. Please continue.
But I'm surprised at the dumb bullshit that he is willing to go, because Effie is the same man last year that became famous for forcing Marco Stunt to suck a dildo.
Yep, I remember that.
And these two proceed to have a wrestling match in which two of the high spots involve Mr. Moxley kissing said guy Effie.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but in the context of pro wrestling, it's fucking stupid.
And Effie, while being in a headlock by Jon Moxley, reaching into his trunks, rubbing his dick with his hand like he's going to jerk off, and taking that hand and putting it in Jon Moxley's face.
No, Sky. That was I almost said Dean. That was Jon Moxley's head bulldog finisher. He was jacking off while getting finished. Lol.
Case in point, Jon Moxley's not here anymore.
Yeah. And that... I mean... To me, anyone who works for Game Changer Wrestling is pretty much, with the exception of, I'm sure there's going to be a couple people who are going to like, oh, well, you hired blah, blah, blah. Pretty much anyone who works for Game Changer Wrestling has no place in actual wrestling. And that's Moxley included. And he's the interim world's champion for AEW. So you've got a whiny baby and a jack-off, literally, as your two champions. Good work, Tony.
But at least CM Punk is CM Punk. At least he's a big megastar. It's
Agreed.
just that he's a crybaby. You're having CM Punk the biggest star of wrestling for the last 10 years to the Smarks wrestle against this guy.
Yeah, suddenly Adam Page wearing butterfly jeans doesn't sound so bad, does it?
Anyways, point is we're going to start the show, but fuck John Moxley.
Yeah, I don't disagree with this, and then we'll get started to NWL. But Mox, I liked Dean Ambrose, but Dean Ambrose wasn't allowed to do 9/10 of the shit that he was thinking he should do, and he is the poster child for being the reason why Vince had the opinions he had about stifling characters and creativity. Just saying.
And now we realize that Vince McMahon was not wrong.
Yeah, when it comes to Moxley, Vince was correct. I know you don't want to give Vince credit, folks, but you got to give the devil his due once in a while.
Yep. So we're going to begin the show. We have 10 matches, 1 on the preliminary show, and then 9 on the main card.
All right.
Our preliminary show matchup, Jade Cargill versus Nikita Lyons.
Interesting.
Because I've been teasing this match for a couple months, and now we're going to get it. But,
we are.
Here's the thing, Sean. This match is sloppy as hell. It's not very good. Jade Cargill wins in 8 minutes.
You gave them 8 minutes? Oh my god.
I gave him 8 minutes. I gave him 8 minutes.
Oofa. That would be, yeah, I now understand why this was on the preliminary show.
Because here's the thing. Again, I like both of them, but Nikita Lyons is a project. She's only been wrestling for, 6 months?
Yeah, and Jade Cargill is AEW's perma project.
Right. I'm giving Jade Cargill the win because she's a little bit further along, and I could probably use her a little bit more, but she's also older.
Right.
She kind of is what she is at this point. Nikita Lyons, I'm at least a little bit hopeful that she's going to get better.
True.
Anyways.
Now we're
going to move on to the main show. And Sean, I'm back.
All right.
And I'm better than ever.
Big Bish. Big Bish.
For making fame better. It's Eric Bischoff. And Eric Bischoff arrives to the ring smiling. The crowd is booing him here in Tacoma, Washington. Booing.
Oh, boo! Boo! I thought, I don't have anything against Tacoma, Washington. I thought I was supposed to be booing Tacoma, Washington. But boo Eric Bischoff!
Eric Bischoff.
Boo Eric Bischoff on behalf of Tacoma, Washington. Boo!
Hey, what's wrong, everybody? Don't you know it's just me playing Eric Bischoff?
Boo!
I don't know why you guys hate me, because I am the smartest man in this arena.
Boo.
I am the man who was in charge of WCW. And, I feel it is my privilege to let you all know that I am now the interim general manager of the National Wrestling League.
Oh, no. Oh, boo.
Now, I do want to say, first off, Kurt Angle, I really hope you get better, man. I really do. I didn't want to have what my guys did to you. Well, actually, you know what? I don't really care about that. It's whatever. Good luck with a broken freaking neck.
Ooh.
Now, secondly, I am here as the general manager of the National Wrestling League, and I promise excitement, I promise entertainment, I promise that you people will be satisfied with the product you're going to see. And you all know why you're going to be happy with it? Because you're looking at the man among God. I am the man among the best of the world, because I am Eric Bischoff. Please, everybody, give me your love, give me your appreciation, give me your affection.
Boo!
And if you got a problem with that, well, you'll have to take it up with this man. And then here comes Bobby Lashley.
Also boo, but he's really good, but boo.
Boo, but I don't want to upset him because he's going to break me.
Yeah, he's monstrous.
Now let's get going with the World Cup. So now we're going to begin the second round matches for the World Cup.
Let's do it.
Obviously, Bobby Lashley is here, so he's going to wrestle. He begins the show, Bobby Lashley representing the United States of America versus Chris Sabin representing the United States of America.
Oh, boy. Well, Chris, good luck.
Good luck indeed. This is going to be a 10-minute match. I'm actually going to give Chris Sabin a little bit of a chance. Like, he has to stick and move. He has to stick and dodge. He gets Bobby Lashley on one knee because he keeps attacking his base, his legs. Bobby Lashley then just clotheslines him, takes control, works him over. Chris Sabin makes his comeback, but as he tries to go for his finish, which is the frog splash, Bobby Lashley gets up, grabs him, throws him off of the top rope, then spear, cover, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I mean, I like Chris Sabin, but there's no chance that he's going to beat Bobby Lashley one-on-one, especially with Eric Bischoff now like calling the shots for the next 2 weeks. You know, even if Sabin had gotten something, I mean, you want to talk about the odds being stacked against you. Not his night.
Right. No.
Excuse me.
Now we're going to go to the next matchup in the World Cup Series, and I think this is the matchup that you were really looking forward to. It is Alexander Hammerstone, representing the United States of America, versus Rex Steiner, representing the United States of America.
This would be interesting. In actual, before you give me the finish, which I'm sure would be very creative, in actuality, this would be a very interesting match because I feel like while the idea of Hammerstone and Steiner working together is great, I almost feel like it would be a bit of a clash of styles. And in just how they worked with each other, not a knock on either guy, but that's just what it feels like to me. But it depends. That's just in a vacuum. What do you got for it?
Well, this is going to be a 12-minute match. And this is, again, powerhouse versus powerhouse. They match up with each other. Of course, it starts with a collar and elbow tie-up because I'm going to start every match with a collar and elbow tie-up.
Yay.
But this is going to be the two of them just going hold for hold. At one point, Steiner tries to punch Hammerstone, and Hammerstone doesn't flinch. Hammerstone punches Steiner, and Steiner doesn't flinch. These two are matching each other hold for hold. Hammerstone does get control at some point because he's the more experienced wrestler.
Right.
Now, I want to make a very clear note. Rex Steiner, at the beginning of this match, does not have any help. He doesn't have the NXT generation behind him.
Right.
But as Alexander Hammerstone has the advantage, and he does close on Rex Steiner out of the ring, Dominic Guerrero does make his entrance. He goes through the crowd, stand on the ring apron rope. Hammerstone, of course, is going to tackle him off the ring apron rope and tells Guerrero to not get involved. Steiner comes in, grabs Hammerstone, and does the stun gun off the top rope.
Right.
Now this is Steiner's chance to work Hammerstone. The referee hasn't thrown Dominic Guerrero out because, again, he hasn't been thrown out yet. Hammerstone is basically working underneath as Steiner is pounding him and crushing him and holding him down. He's using excellent bear hugs. He's trying to wear down Hammerstone. The people are chanting for the stone. They're chanting for the stone.
Hammerstone! 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 Hammerstone!
Finally, he charges up. He starts pushing Steiner into the into the ring post, and he goes back to the other side of the ring. Charges him, spear to the gut. Goes back again. Goes for another one, spear to the gut. Goes for a third one, and the fans are chanting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hammerstone is a man on fire. He grabs Steiner and suplexes him out of the corner. He grabs him, lifts him in the air, does a couple of push-ups with him in the air.
Wow.
And then throws him back on the ground.
Damn.
Hammerstone sets up for his finisher, the Stonebreaker. Guerrero gets up onto the ring apron. And, of course, the referee is going to get mad at him. So is Hammerstone. But what Guerrero does is that he has brass knuckles in his hands. And what he does is that he does this little thing where he throws it behind his back so that the referee doesn't see it. But, of course, Hammerstone sees it, right?
Right.
So Rex Steiner tries to grab the brass knuckles, but Hammerstone grabs them first. And Steiner realizes what's about to happen. And he's like, whoa, don't do it. Don't do it. Hammerstone brass knuckles to Steiner. And then he charges Dominic Guerrero and hits him. The referee throws Guerrero out. As he's throwing him out, Hammerstone throws the brass knuckles to the ground, so that way the referee doesn't see it.
Right.
Then he grabs Steiner, who's down, hits the Stonebreaker, cover 1, 2, 3.
Damn. Thanks for coming. Wow. That is a strong book for Alex Hammerstone. He's like, not only do I see you bringing the brass knucks, I'm gonna hit you both with them and get away with it, and make sure you're all laid out at the end. That's pretty bold. That's pretty bold. Now let me ask you this, Sky. Do you run the risk in this situation? Because I understand that Dominik introduced the Knux, but because neither of the heels actually used them, does that not almost make Hammerstone look a little bit more heelish as a result?
Well, Steiner was obviously going to use it. It's just that Hammerstone got to it first.
Right. I get that. I get that. It's odd just because it never connected with Hammerstone. Like, it was potential heat on the heels, but it was never realized heat on the heels because Hammerstone did the heat thing on the heels. You see what I'm saying? It's like, I'm not knocking the finish because I like the finish. It's just, that would be, to me, that'd be something that would confuse me on who was what at the end of that.
I think because Dominic Guerrero got there first and he provided the distraction at the beginning that allowed Rex Steiner to get advantage.
Sure. No, I understand.
That's how you make it.
I got you. I see what you're saying. I appreciate your reasoning.
Right. Now, I do want to say something real quickly. My staff at the National Wrestling League, it's going to be play-by-play commentator Michael Cole and Corey Graves. And I'm going to have Renee Young and Byron Saxon be backstage interviewers. It hasn't been important up until this point.
Okay. I mean, we know Renee. Renee's been there for forever, but now we have some understanding on who's on commentary.
Yep. But more importantly, the reason why is because Byron Saxon is doing an interview with a just-arrived Roman Reigns.
Oh, all right. Good luck, Byron.
So Byron Saxon is interviewing Roman Reigns. Like, Roman, we have a couple questions for you. And Roman's scowling at him, but he's like, okay, ask your questions. So Byron's like, did you hear about the news that happened to Jon Moxley? And do you have any comment about the news? And Roman Reigns looks down, looks back up, and starts smiling. You know, I feel bad for Jon. I feel real bad for him because I knew about these tendencies when we were together. But you know, I can't stop a man from being who he is. And clearly Jon Moxley wants to spend his time at the worst possible moment of his life. And God bless him. If he wants to be the worst type of person that you can be in this wrestling business, then I'm not going to stop him. I just feel bad for him because I feel like he's going to be letting his wife and his child down one day because he's going to have his leg cut off. And then he's going to have them pay for his medical bills. But hey, you know what you signed up for, Renee, so I'm not going to disparage her any more than I have to. Although I do notice it's you interviewing me, Byron, and not her. Where is she? And Byron's like, I'm not at liberty to tell you about that because, you know. But anyways, I have another question for you. What do you think so far of the World Cup as it's gone on? And Roman Reigns says, you know, I've been watching these matches. I have to say, everyone's doing a good job. I'm looking forward to seeing whoever wins tonight and go into the quarterfinals and then the semis and the finals. But I want everyone here to understand something. And at this point, Roman looks at the camera directly. I'm the tribal chief. I'm Roman Reigns. I'm the head of the table. And I'm the champion. I've been champion for a year and a half. And I'll be damned if I let this go to some schlub who becomes world champion of the World Cup because you're not going to beat me. You're never going to beat me. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Bobby Lashley. I don't care if it's Alexander Hammerstone. You're not going to be as good as Roman Reigns. And then he gets attacked from behind by Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins charges him. Roman Reigns and him go back and forth in a backstage brawl until security guards arrive and they separate the two.
Well, you had to see this coming given Roman Reigns' treatment of Seth Rollins over the past several months. And, you know, Rollins has got to be a man possessed here. He wants that belt so bad, but I don't feel like that's even his only motivation at this point because Roman Reigns kind of castrated Rollins into something that he wasn't. And Rollins needs to get his manhood and independence back. And the only way he's going to do that is to really take Roman down one way or the other.
Right. Now, let's go ahead and step back kayfabe for a second, if you will, Sean.
Yes.
Originally, it was going to be Jon Moxley and Seth Rollins jumping on Roman Reigns, and this is what was going to lead to a triple threat that happens next month.
Well, sucks to be Mox.
Sucks to be Mox. And of course, I'm not just doing veiled shots at Jon Moxley through Roman Reigns, but I am.
Yeah, I wanted to boo there, but I have found nothing to boo.
But anyways, the point is that Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns is going to happen next month, and it's going to be the main event of next month's show.
All right, I'm down.
Right. Because I got to keep Roman Reigns occupied while this tournament's happening, and I can get away with him not wrestling the last 2 months because it was the first round, and we're still trying to get through all those matches. Plus, I have Bianca Belair basically take over as the main event draw during those shows.
Yes, you did. Which has been great, by the way. I think that what you've done with Bianca has been a nice fill-in while the tournament has been going on. You've made the women's championship actually feel as important as a world championship, which is something that not a whole lot of people have ever been able to do.
Right, which, by the way, the main event is Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch.
Which, given what we've seen in actual wrestling, is worthy of a main event. Realistically.
Yep. But I need to get Roman Reigns back in the main event of the next show because that would be 3 months of him not defending the belt, and at that point,
Yeah, no, I understand. I agree with that. So it should be nice to see Reigns and Rollins because they always put on a good match.
Yep. Now, the next matchup in the National Wrestling League World Cup Series. Richard Holiday representing the United States of America versus Shinsuke Nakamura representing Japan.
All right.
This is going to be a 10-minute match. Shinsuke is wearing down Holiday, and he is the heel for this match, but not necessarily in a cheating way. He's just being stiff.
Sure.
A tweener at the best.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Holiday does make his comeback, and as he makes his comeback, he dodges the Kinshasa, which Shinsuke tries to hit him with, and he catches him, and he hits his finisher, the Market Crash. Have you seen that finisher?
I have.
So he hits him with the Market Crash with the cover 1, 2, 3. Richard Holiday advances.
Wow. Former international champion beaten by Richard Holiday. That is a surprise to me. I like the move. So wait a minute. Does that mean that we're getting Hammerstone and Holiday in the quarterfinals against each other, or are we not ready for that conversation?
Stay tuned. Stay tuned for the quarterfinal draw.
All right, we're not ready for that conversation yet. Okay, let's go.
But no, basically what it is that if you win a match, you move on to the next round, and then a lottery machine
Right.
happens, and that's how you get your draw.
Right.
It's a truly randomized tournament. You don't know who you're facing.
Yeah, which I like too. You know, because it kind of, I mean, at the end of the day, you're still opening up the shells that you want to set up the matches you want to set, but it gives the illusion that this is all kind of like free will and just like whatever fates allow, which definitely makes it different from other tournaments like this.
Right, and the other thing too is that it's basically me saying I want to make it so that you could face anybody, so you can't necessarily just game plan ahead of time. Like if I beat this person, I'm going up against this person.
Right.
You're not going to know until it happens.
Right. Well, you get a month to prepare for when you actually, based on television and stuff like that, from show to show. But like at the end of it, you're not at this moment knowing because you watched the show tonight who you're facing until you get told who you're facing at the end of the night.
Right. It's like basically in the NCAA tournament, I know that at some point I'm going to have to face Michigan, or at some point I'm going to have to face Kentucky, or going to have to face Duke. I just don't know when.
Right.
And that's
right.
how it's going to go.
I like it.
The next matchup, representing Samoa, Jey Uso versus representing Scotland, Drew McIntyre.
Oh, Jay. He's gonna die, isn't he?
5-minute squash. Drew McIntyre wins.
Yeah, that went about as well as I expected it would.
I mean, again, Jay tries, he throws punches, Drew shows him off.
It's true.
Suplex, Claymore.
It's Big Daddy Drew. What are you supposed to do?
I like that rhymed.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah, I need to get Drew McIntyre in through this. I mean, again, former world champion, needs to look strong for this tournament. And again, Think of the guys that are winning at this point. I know Richard Holliday's but Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, Alexander Hammerstone.
Yeah, and let's face it, main event Jey Uso was a fad. It was a phase, and we all grew out of that phase, and there's no way that that's ever going to resuscitate itself ever again.
Roman Reigns has the ability to make anybody he's wrestling look good.
Yeah. That's been the magic of this run, man. Everyone's claiming for it to go, for him to lose this belt, but, say what you want. Roman Reigns has had a lot of people fight for that belt who you wouldn't consider worthy, and he's made them look worthy, with the exception of the crappy Finn Balor finish.
Yes, but that was more on the match booking than anything else.
Right.
But the thing about it with Roman is that whoever's going to win it needs to be the right person.
Exactly. And same with NWL, because he's held that belt for a long time.
Year and a half.
Yeah. So whoever's gonna win that belt off of Roman has got to be the right guy. And Jey Uso is not that guy.
Nope. Now, next up, Austin Theory versus Kofi Kingston. Austin Theory representing the United States, Kofi Kingston representing Ghana.
I want this match in real life.
I hope we get this match in real life.
It would be really good. I mean, it'd be really good. I mean, that is if they don't just bury Austin Theory to oblivion on that program. But if
I mean, Theory did beat Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, think about what you were just about to say, and then tell me that they're not burying Austin Theory.
But they're not exactly pushing Kofi Kingston either, so.
Well, yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Besides, I think Austin Theory is probably going to be slowly built. Like, it's one of those things where, like, okay, we need to get through this little stretch with the Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns stuff, and we're going to have him be around with Money in the Bank, but we're not going to push him until he's actually ready to win. Yeah,
I think they are just hitting the brakes with him rather than stopping that train altogether, and I think that is the right move. But speaking of right moves, this match is something I would definitely want to see in actuality, so I'm interested to see how it goes down here.
Yep. Now, I am going to say, Kofi Kingston does have Xavier Woods on the outside with him.
Okay.
Austin Theory has Dominik Guerrero and Rex Steiner with him.
Okay, and clearly probably not happy with how things went earlier tonight. They're probably not in the best of moods.
No, they are not. And Austin Theory is a little bit rougher. There's no collar and elbow tie because Theory just charges Kofi.
Fair.
And it does take advantage of Kofi. Kofi does make his comeback. And basically this is going to be a quicker match. It's going to be a 7-minute match. The reason why is because the match has been going a little bit long. I want to give this one a little bit less time.
Sure.
But more focused on Theory's hot start, Kofi's comeback. And as he's making his comeback, he's going for his finish. Dominik Guerrero and Rex Steiner do grab the legs of Kofi as he's setting up for the Trouble in Paradise.
Oh.
Xavier Woods jumps off the apron and jumps onto both of them, clears both of them out. The referee is distracted with all this. Theory comes in, rolls up Kofi, grabs a hand of the tights, 1-2 kick out by Kofi. They come back at each other. Austin Theory, he hits Kofi with a punch, but the way it is that the punch is open fist, and the fingers are going to Kofi's eyes.
Oh, no.
And now Kofi can't see. He's looking at his eyes. The referee's trying to look at it, but before he can, Austin Theory grabs him. A-Town finish. Cover 1-2-3.
Damn. The numbers game, just too many numbers.
Too many numbers, and I needed Austin Theory to cheat to beat Kofi.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, given the fact that you had to get the heat back on these three somehow. And this was the place to do it. And now I understand a little bit better why you went with the decision you made before with Hammerstone. The fact that they're getting their heat back here with Kofi actually, like, kind of redeems that and balances the whole thing out so it doesn't just feel like the NXT generation is just a bunch of idiots for trying to cheat. Now they've actually got their leverage back. So I think that honestly, that works out really well, Sky. I like it. I like it. You made sure to take care of him.
Plus, the other thing, too, is that of the three of them, as much, again, as I like Rex Steiner, Theory is the better wrestler at this point.
True.
So if you're going with a tournament of this idea, Theory will put on the better matches later on in the tournament than Rex Steiner can. Not that Rex Steiner is bad, but he's still green-ish.
Yes, correct.
Now then, we have Keith Lee making his entrance for his match, and I'm back.
Oh,
And I'm
great.
making things better.
Boo!
Here comes Eric Bischoff.
Boo!
Why are you booing me? Why are you booing me, Tacoma? I'm just putting on some damn good matches. Don't you want some excitement? Don't you want some entertainment?
I mean,
Keith Lee is quick to grab a microphone and says, "Cut the bullshit, Eric. What's going on?" Eric's like, "So hostile, Keith Lee. So hostile indeed. Listen. You know, I was thinking about this match, you and Powerhouse Will Hobbs. But you want to know something? I've changed my mind.
yes, I'm glad you did this. Continue.
I've decided to make this match just a little bit more exciting, a little bit more entertaining, because, Mr. Lee, you've told me several times in the past that you certainly do like a little bit of breaking limits and testing yourself. And I figure, let's give you another challenge. Wouldn't you agree?" Keith Lee, of course, is frustrated by this, but just says, "Listen, Eric, whatever the hell you're doing, just tell me. And after this tournament, you and me are going to have some words when you're not in power."
Okay.
Eric says, "Please, Keith Lee, you know that this is only going to be temporary. This is going to be permanent. I will be the general manager of the National Wrestling League going forward.
Boo.
I clearly am the man who will be in charge of your future. I will own you."
Boo.
But anyways, let's go ahead and talk about your matchup. It will be Keith Lee versus Powerhouse Will Hobbs and Apollo Crews in a 2-on-1 handicap match.
Oh, that's some shenanigans. That's some shenanigans.
Oh, and Mr. Lee, you should know, if you get counted out or get disqualified, you also will lose this match and lose your chance at the World Cup.
Boo.
Have fun.
Damn.
So it's Keith Lee in a handicap match against Will Hobbs and Apollo Crews. I'm going to say right now, if the handicap match is won by Powerhouse Will Hobbs and Apollo Crews, it's Will Hobbs that's advancing because Apollo Crews already got eliminated.
Right. Yeah. No, that would make sense. And that I would imagine that Cole and Graves would mention that on commentary, you know, once they kind of figured out the semantics of that, just so the people would be all on the same page with that prior to the outcome.
Right. So anyways, Keith Lee, Powerhouse Will Hobbs, and Apollo Crews are going to have this match. This is a handicap match. It's an 8-minute match. Again, I'm keeping it on the shorter side because I want to save time for other matches that I have later on.
Right.
And Keith Lee is dominating Apollo Crews. He is dominating Will Hobbs. It's not until the both of them are do a little thing of Keith Lee is about to do a splash down Apollo Crews, and Powerhouse Will Hobbs just tags him in the back. Keith Lee looks back at Will Hobbs, and then Apollo Crews comes from behind and hits Keith Lee. That's when they get the advantage, and that's when the frequent tags come in and they stomp him out.
Right.
They kick him out. They do all these things. It's not until Keith Lee fires up against Apollo Crews, fires up against him, knocks Will Hobbs off the apron, and hits Apollo Crews again and again and again. And he's going to go for the spirit bomb. Here comes Will Hobbs, and he tries to spear Keith Lee, but he accidentally spears Apollo Crews in the process.
Oops.
And then Keith Lee grabs Will Hobbs, throws him over the top rope. Then he grabs Apollo Crews, hits the spear bomb, power bomb for the cover. 1, 2, 3.
Keith Lee defying the odds, keeping things rolling and advancing himself into the World Cup. Eric Bischoff cannot be happy.
No, he cannot. And this is the second time that I've had Keith Lee beat Apollo Crews in the same tournament.
Well, you can't have him pin Hobbs if you want Hobbs to be anything going forward. I think this is a good way of eliminating Hobbs from the tournament without diminishing Hobbs himself. You know, I like that you did this in order to protect Hobbs, because I can imagine that when you were booking this show, Sky, it was probably difficult when you first approached this match of how am I going to do this where I'm not going to hurt Will Hobbs in the process? And this is a great out for that.
Well, the reason why the out was created was because I realized, okay, I need Kurt Angle to sell the injury that happened last month, but there's going to have to be an authority figure in place. And who on the roster can I have be a heel authority figure? And it's Eric Bischoff.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better than that. And you know he's good at it.
Right, and again, it's his guys. He manages Bobby Lashley and Powerhouse Will Hobbs and Apollo Crews. So he would do this to stack the odds for his guys.
Yep. Would definitely be it. And props to Keith Lee for powering through it, but also for keeping the most important member of the almighty crew, whose name is not Bobby Lashley, still riding a wave of momentum that he doesn't need to lose in fighting Keith Lee.
Exactly. And I'm going to say right now, of all the first round, when we did the first draft, of all the guys that I was forced to have, which was 3 midgets and a couple of 4 midgets if you count Marco Stunt.
Hey, I got Santino Marella, so we all got our own shit.
I got worse because I've got 4 midgets, Pat Patterson and Drag, and Eric Bischoff as a karate.
You did.
Of those 6, Eric Bischoff has proven to be very useful.
Yeah, I got Goldberg, Fake Diesel, and he gifted me Shorty G and Dr. Britt Baker, and then Santino Marella was like the least of those. And such it was.
But he gifted you a mid-card heel wrestler and your top women's wrestler, and I got a general manager, and that's it.
A general manager and the Dinks. So good stuff.
The Dinks, the fake Kings, all that bullshit.
Amazing. The dead fake Kings, because he wasn't even alive when you got him drafted to you.
Yeah.
What a time.
Anyways, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next match. The international champion and representing Samoa, Jacob Fatu, versus Johnny Gargano.
Johnny's going to die, isn't he?
This is a squash match that basically takes 5 minutes. Now, I do want to say Jacob Fatu is dominating Johnny Gargano. Johnny is trying, and he's trying, and he's trying, and he just can't do it. He gets bear hugged into the finish. He basically passes out. He doesn't tap out, he passes out.
I guess that's fair. I mean, there's still a lot going on with him and Ciampa that you don't want this to be too... Again, you don't want this to hurt Johnny too much just because it's a tournament match, which it would if he tapped. I think a pass out to a bear hug, totally acceptable in this situation.
But let's continue, shall we?
Yes.
Jacob Fatu is continuing to kick Johnny Gargano's ass after the match. The referee is trying to stop him. Jacob Fatu gets one look at the referee, and the referee just shrivels into a ball and dies.
Okay.
But
Fair.
basically, Jacob Fatu is doing what he wants to Johnny Gargano. Here comes Tommaso Ciampa with a chair, hits Jacob Fatu in the back, and gets him to back off of Johnny Gargano. And Tommaso Ciampa picks Johnny Gargano up and holds him and gets him to the back.
Interesting.
So now it appears that Tommaso Ciampa has come to the aid of Johnny Gargano.
Well, yes, but it still doesn't feel like all wounds have been healed, but it's still like, I may not like you, but I'm still going to do the right thing in this situation because of our history. Well, it'll be interesting to see the interactions between Ciampa and Gargano going forward after this. Right now, it seems like all is well, but there's still quite a lot of time left before now and December.
Right. Now, we're going to go backstage real quick to the locker room. Here is Jey Uso with an ice pack. Jimmy is basically holding him. And Roman Reigns is looking at TV of what just happened. Jacob Fatu walks in and asks, okay, where the hell were you three? And why didn't any of you three help me out with what just happened? And Roman's looking at Jacob like, last I checked, did you need help beating Johnny Gargano? I expected you to beat Johnny Gargano. You just got a little careless. You didn't have to cause more pain, but you did. I don't disparage your choice, but you have to understand that Tommaso Ciampa was going to help him. And of course, Jacob's like, that doesn't mean shit. You know for a fact that you are supposed to back me up. You're supposed to help me out. Aren't we family? And Roman's like, yeah, we're family. But let's be clear about something right now. You and all, everybody here, we're only as good as what we have, our titles. Beyond that, whatever happens in our personal business is our personal business. And actually, though, that reminds me, you two. And Jimmy's like, wait, what's up, Oos? What are you talking about? He's like, the both of you lost to Drew McIntyre in this tournament. That's just disappointing. And Jimmy's like, come on, man. It's Drew McIntyre. You know how tough he is. I'm like, yeah. But you guys are supposed to make sure that no threats come for my title. And Jacob's like, threats for your title? What happens if I win this tournament? What happens if I become the number one contender? Am I expected to just lay down for you? And Roman and Jacob now, they get nose to nose.
Oh, it's tense in this room.
And Roman says, yeah, you're supposed to lay down for me if you win this. Listen, just like this, snap of the fingers, I could get rid of you. I have the power to do that. I am the head of the table. And don't think that I can't get the powers that be to do whatever I need them to do. You two, get your shit together and make sure that whoever you face whenever you defend those tag team championships, you beat them. And you better make sure that you keep your international title and you win this damn World Cup tournament. And when you and me wrestle, you lay down for me and do what's right for the family. Do what's right for the bloodline. Or else you're going to have to find somewhere else to feed your 8 kids.
Oh, damn.
Now, of course, Jacob Fatu is snarling, and he just walks off angry. Just walks off angry. Jimmy and Jey Uso, they move on, and they just kind of just walk off too. Roman is left to just continuously just breathe through the nose that way that he does.
Yep. Damn. That's, it's interesting because you had to know that at some point these two were two big Brahma bulls, lol, and would come to a head at some point. That these two couldn't coexist with one being subservient to the other. And now that Roman Reigns has made it clear that he expects this, I can't imagine that Jacob Fatu is going to take that sitting down.
Right, and the threat to the Usos, you better keep your damn tag team titles. He said it before, if you don't have those titles, you're not family.
Yeah. Yeah, he said that multiple times to them.
And Roman Reigns basically pulled the Brock Lesnar line of, I don't give a shit about your kids.
Yeah, basically.
By the way, I have to make a correction. Jacob Fatu has 6 kids, not 8.
Oh, good to know. That 8 would be too much. 6 is, reasonable.
So 6 is still too much.
No, I don't disagree with that.
But yeah, I felt like I needed to include this.
Yeah, fair enough.
Give me one second. We're going to do a quick intermission.
Well, while we're at intermission, folks, I might as well just do a very quick plug. And the very quick plug is going to be October 14th. Just a bit more. Released for AB Productions CT. I'm not going to do the whole spiel today. And the reason I'm not doing the whole spiel today is that I didn't write one. But October 14th, we've got 13 tracks. Abizzle's on 5 of them. It's my album. I'm excited. White Knux and ABI Double Z LE bringing you the hottest music this side of the entire internet. And we've also got Mixed Bag 2 coming out a month later in November. The exact date TBD. But it's coming up, folks. The fall is coming fast. The leaves are changing. And with that change comes a changing of the guard in the music industry. Start getting on that carousel. Get on the train and bob for some great musical apples with AB Productions CT.
Thank you for that intermission, and we're back. I'm looking forward to the next project because ABI, Double Z, and White Knux produce some of the best music on the East Coast, on the West Coast, on the Central Coast, whatever you want to call it. We're doing the good thing.
That's right. From the bottom of the Florida Keys to the top of the Rocky Mountains, ABPCTs worldwide. Not Titus O'Neil worldwide. Unless Titus listens to our music. And if he does, thank you.
Give a shout out.
That's right. Yeah, let us know. Please let us know if you do.
Yep. Now we're going to move on to the last of the World Cup Series matches, our co-main event, representing Canada, Kevin Owens, versus representing the United States of America, AJ Styles.
This ought to be good.
Now, this match, again, is going to be a 10, 12-minute match between Kevin Owens and AJ Styles. It is a hot start because they've been feuding with each other since Kevin Owens took out AJ last year.
Yeah. So this is, these two have not been able to get their names out of each other's mouths for quite some time. So this going to be intense.
Yep. So, Sean, because Kevin Owens is Canadian and AJ Styles is mad at him, we're going to start with a hockey fight.
Well, okay.
Hey, at least he's Canadian. It makes up for it, okay?
All right. I'll give it to you.
But they start with the hockey fight. Kevin Owens does take control at the beginning of this because he does have a bit of a more size advantage. AJ does make his comeback. And as AJ's making his comeback, here comes that dastardly Sami Zayn.
Oh, boy.
Now, of course, here's the thing. Sami does not get the chance to do anything because the second he gets to the ringside area, AJ jumps off the top rope and hits the phenomenal forearm to the outside to him.
Oh, all right.
And then he gets back in, he goes for the phenomenal forearm, and as he goes for it, Kevin Owens catches him with the pop-up powerbomb, cover, 1, 2, kick out by AJ Styles.
That's pretty big.
Yep, Kevin Owens cannot believe it, so he tries to go for the stunner. As he goes for it, AJ is able to reverse it into the calf crusher, and as Kevin Owens tries to get out of the calf crusher, AJ releases it, and he goes for the center again. This time AJ catches him and puts him into the Styles Clash for the cover. 1, a 2, a 3.
AJ Styles with the W and beats Kevin Owens again. And every time that AJ Styles has beat Kevin Owens, it has never gone well.
No, because Kevin Owens usually does something else.
Yeah. Are we going to see the same thing again this time around?
We'll see. Anyways, hang on 1 second.
We shall see. We shall see shells by the she-sore. I'm sore in my mouth. I think I'm having a stroke.
I don't have a speech impediment.
That's right. Yes, that's right. Thank you, Jack Thwagger.
Actually, it's funny because I did have a speech impediment when I was younger. It's always the letter S.
Yeah, ask Mike Tyson.
Yep. So now we're going to do the World Cup draws for the quarterfinals. We have 8 competitors that we're going to draw in the 4 matches for next month's show.
All right. Are we going to get sound effects?
No.
Oh, come on. That's part of it now.
The only way you're going to get sound effects is if you like, share, and subscribe to the Court Martial Podcast.
Very good. Very good.
Okay, I'll do the sound effects for you, okay?
Very good. No. You know what? The plug was perfect. You don't have to do them now. The plug made up for it.
No, I'll do it because I have to. The first matchup is AJ Styles versus Jacob Fatu.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
That's a very interesting match.
It is. But you know what? Say what you want about Jacob Fatu. If there's someone who's going to make him look like $1 million goddamn dollars, it's going to be AJ Styles.
Yep. The next one. Drew McIntyre versus Richard Holiday.
That should be good as well, but I don't like Holiday's chances.
Nope. Next one. Alexander Hammerstone versus Austin Theory.
That also should be good. That also should be quite good. And you never know when it comes to Austin Theory in the NXT generation, but given the way that Hammerstone took out the NXT generation, it's going to be an interesting clash.
Yep, which means the last match, Bobby Lashley versus Keith Lee.
And that we have known to be a big boy fight. And we've seen it once before, correct?
Yes, but also Eric Bischoff rigging the odds so that match happens.
That's right, and he will still be acting general manager at the time.
Yeah, so,
who knows what we'll actually get?
Right. But if we know Eric Bischoff, we know Eric Bischoff.
Yes, we do.
So, now that we have those matches set up, we can also announce that again. Roman Reigns will be facing off against Seth Rollins in the main event of next month's show for the world title.
Yep.
So those are 5 really interesting damn matches.
Yeah, it sure is. It sure is. That's going to be a hell of a card come September.
Yep. Now we're going to go to the main event of this show. Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch. Now, we do give the video package treatment for this match. It talks about Bianca Belair's climb and how she's defeated every member of the Horsewoman except for Becky Lynch. But Becky is confident because she is, quote-unquote, the man.
Right.
And she believes that as the man, you can't beat the man until you face the man and beat the man. Oh, sorry, be the man. Damn it.
The point was made.
You can't be the man unless you beat the man. How did that quote go?
To be the man, you gotta beat the man.
Woo!
That's right.
Thank you. Anyways, the point is that Becky Lynch makes the claim that she is the man, and Bianca Belair cannot be the man until she beats the man. That's a lot of man in there.
There is. For a women's title match, yeah.
But Bianca Belair's, of course, claim is that she is the strongest, the fastest, and the toughest. And EST will reign supreme. And once she beats the Horsewomen, she's done with them. Supposedly.
Well, that's if the Horsewomen have anything to say about it.
Yep. Now, Becky Lynch has to make her entrance first because she's not the champion. We always have the champions go second.
Right.
And Becky Lynch is making her entrance with every member of the Horsewomen with her. Because remember, it was a Kurt Angle mandate that the Horsewomen had to only have one member at ringside for their matches.
That's right.
Eric Bischoff in charge, and he don't give a fuck. So every single member of the Horsewomen is out there. It's Charlotte, it's Bayley, it's Sasha, and Becky. And Bianca Belair makes her entrance. She sees the other Horsewomen, and she's smiling. And she, with one flip of the wrist, here comes Toni Storm and Rhea Ripley and Nikita Lyons.
Oh!
Bianca.
Bianca's got some backup.
Yep. So this is going to be Bianca versus Becky Lynch. And basically, this is a lumberjack match, almost.
Yeah, almost.
But the problem is that you have so many women at ringside, the referee's going to have a hard time controlling this.
Yeah, especially if this escalates.
Right, and that's the thing, is that this match is going to be the longest match of the show. It's an 18-minute match. And a good portion of it is Becky and Bianca being thrown to the outside and having to avoid any sort of contact from the other women. Of course, finally, Charlotte Flair gets a big boot on Bianca, and the other women start charging, and then a brawl starts happening at ringside area. And the referee has lost control. And then referee and security, they start going out, and they try to grab the other women, and basically they're trying to calm the situation.
Right, which I'm sure is going very well.
Yep. Eric Bischoff, of course, comes out on stage and says, listen up. Every single woman besides Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch is out of here. All of you get to the back. Now.
All right, I respect that.
But here's the thing, is that the women, they don't want to go back calmly. They keep fighting with each other. And then Eric Bischoff basically is trying to control these women, and he can't. So at one point, he goes to the ringside and says, listen, get to the back immediately. And Charlotte Flair just punches him in the face.
But shouldn't that be a babyface doing that, though? Because that would get a pop.
No. Okay, fine. We'll make it Toni Storm punches him in the face.
There we go. All right. All is right with the world.
You know what we can do is that we can have each woman, as they leave, punch Eric Bischoff.
Like Scotty 2 Hottie in 2002? When Undertaker got eliminated by Maven, he's beating the hell out of Maven, and Scotty 2 Hottie's dancing, and Undertaker just walks up, BAM!
Right, like Toni Storm comes up, BAM! Lays him down. Here comes Sasha Banks, kick to the ribs. Here comes Bayley, punch to the face. Nikita Lyons, headbutts.
Who was it they did that with recently? Was it Slater or Axel?
It was Slater. It was Slater in the 2017 Royal Rumble.
Yes.
Where basically for like 5 or 6 entries, he kept getting the piss beat out of him until he finally got up thanks to Sheamus.
Yeah. No, I remember that. That was one of the highlights of that Rumble. That ended with Orton winning and going to face Bug Screen Bray.
Nope, it was not. That was the Rumble that Shinsuke Nakamura won.
That was 2018.
Okay, that was 2018. My bad.
Yes. Shinsuke was 2018 because he nutshotted AJ Styles at Mania that year. What a time to be alive.
Anyways, so the point is that the other women, after fighting off and basically kicking Eric Bischoff, it's now a one-on-one match between Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch. And they do the match properly. It's going to be the same thing as the SummerSlam match that they just had. I'm not going to try and describe it because we've seen that match several times.
Yes, we have. And it's a good match.
And I'm going to take the finish of Becky Lynch trying to go for a manhandle slam.
Rock bottom.
From the top rope.
Yep.
Becky Bomb. We're calling it the Becky Bomb. Fuck it. And fuck you, Joshua. She tries to go for the Becky Bomb from the top rope. Bianca Belair turns it into a Spanish Fly, grabs her, KOD, cover 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I mean, stealing the SummerSlam finish from this year is honestly a great finish. So I've got no complaints about that. It was worth taking.
Yep. And here's the thing, though. The second the match ends, the Horsewomen run out. So do Toni Storm, Rhea Ripley, and Nikita Lyons. And they get into the ring, and all 8 of them are fighting, and it's chaos. The referees are trying to get control of it. Eric Bischoff gets in the middle of the ring and tries to stop all the women, and they start attacking him too again.
Oh boy!
And then he takes a powder, and all the women keep fighting with each other, and the TV goes off the air.
Well, chaos to end a show like this is definitely a good way to end a show that was very exciting from top to bottom.
In a way, it's kind of funny that a show that Eric Bischoff is in control of ends in chaos.
Yeah, chaos and controversy. I mean, that sounds... if there's anything that sounds like Eric Bischoff, that would be it.
But yeah, there's definitely going to be a tonal change in the way that things are going because Kurt Angle is a babyface general manager. He's going to make sure that the heels don't get away with shit. Now Eric Bischoff is in charge, and he don't care.
Yeah. And I really like what you're doing with Bischoff. It definitely has more of like this free-for-all kind of, you know, I don't mean to, don't misinterpret what I'm saying here because of the wording I'm choosing, but it's definitely got more of a like renegade, it's a free-for-all, just 2 outlaws in the middle of the desert about to shoot each other with the pistol. It's not an outlaw show, but it's a show where outlaws go to be outlaws.
Right, and it's one of those things where I really wanted to emphasize that when Eric Bischoff is in charge, there's really nobody in charge. It's like Tony Khan.
Yeah, well, if you really sat down and looked at the similarities between Bish and Tony, there's quite a lot of them. But maybe we're not ready for that conversation either.
I mean, we will be at some point. But that's one of the things where, again, I really enjoyed doing this show. The last few shows were setup shows, and again, this one also did some setting up. But the point of it was that it sets up for exciting things to happen, because we're getting to the quarterfinals now.
Yeah.
The last 8 minutes of the tournament. And we're getting to the conclusion of some of my storylines I've been telling, and I can't wait for you to hear these conclusions.
Yeah, man, this was a very good show. I really enjoyed this show from start to finish. I mean, there was a lot, from Moxley getting dressed down to the end. I mean, this is definitely one of the firing on all cylinders pieces of booking that makes NWL so exciting. And I'm looking forward to seeing how, while there has been some payoffs here, the payoffs are still built to what's coming next. And that's really the finesse of professional wrestling, is can you pay something off while still also adding to? It's a yes and, as well as putting the period on the end of a sentence. And that's the cool thing about pro wrestling, and I think you've captured that really well in this tournament, especially as it's really started to get going like it did in this show.
Right, I appreciate it. Again, we had to get through the filler guys and the jobbers, and we had to get through some of the mid-card guys. Now we're getting definitively to the top, because you can say that every one of the 8 guys that are in the quarterfinals, at the very least, are upper mid-card to main event talent.
Yeah. No, we're definitely into the bread and butter of it. We're not just having people who need to be there, and again, I'm not saying that, like, with a 32-man tournament, you're going to have people that people will know have zero shot. like, it's just the nature of a 32-man tournament. Now you're starting to get into winnable range, and that's really what's exciting about this whole deal. So, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next.
Thank you. But now we need to shift to the big show.
Yeah.
And that show is the Midsummer Showdown.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, I am going to do my best here to make this, I don't want to say succinct, because that's not the right word. But I'm going to make this so that I am not just yelling for, like, a lot of time. Because there are some segments on this show that are not wrestling. I mean, it's all wrestling, but it's not, I've got some interview segments and things here and there. So, what we're going to do, folks, we've got 9 matches on this show, and we've got a few things in between. There is a lot going on, and you're going to have to bear with me just a little bit, because I have about half of this on paper, and the other half of this is on my phone. So, I'm going to be doing a little back and forth, just keeping things organized. So, bear with me a little bit. But, Skylar, we are in Orlando, Florida.
Woo!
That's right.
We're in Triple H territory.
That's right. We are actually, it's not full stadium. I don't know what the big stadium in Orlando is. It's where the Magic play. I don't know the name of the stadium. I didn't look it up. If you want to be the informant here and let me know what the name of the stadium the Magic play in is.
Arrowway Center.
Arrowway Center.
Amway Center.
There we go.
The Amway Center.
Amway Center. So we are in the Amway Center in Orlando, Florida. So we've got quite a few people in attendance. We got Matt Stryker and Taz on commentary. We're excited.
Is it a sold out show?
Of course, yes, it sure is a sold out show. As
20,000 people.
That's right, and we have our main event is a big one. It's a tag title match, titles versus career, and there's going to be the women's title match on this show. We've got a lot of grudge feuds on this show. There's a lot of rematches that we've got from before. There's a huge, very intriguing match as far as talent is concerned. This is going to be a good show. And, of course, we have the question of the investigation into Arn Anderson. And we are going to hear him speak later tonight regarding the allegations and the lawsuit that has come down on him and what's going to happen with his tenure as commissioner. We've got a lot of major names in attendance here, which we will mention later. But, a lot of wrestlers come in and out of Orlando these days.
I mean, Florida has been a place where a lot of wrestlers come and go. It's one of the big wrestling hubs.
That's right. And this is going to be quite fun. Are you ready, sir?
I'm ready.
All right. We're going to start off the show with a surprise. A surprise match. You're going to be shocked I put this on first. But when I finish, when you hear it and you react to it, I'll explain why it went on first. We're going to do something we don't normally do and give you one of the biggest matches on the show to start the show. It is Walter versus Jeff Cobb with Jim Cornette.
Oh?
We're starting this off. It is a 10-minute time limit matchup. How long do you think this goes, Sky?
8 minutes?
Well, I'm going to tell you at the end. But your guess is 8 minutes.
Okay,
so
go ahead and tell me.
So here's
please.
the finish. They go back and forth. Neither of these guys are able to hit their finish. There's no deadlift power slam. There's no power bomb from Walter. It's back and forth slugfest. Corny, does a little bit of cheating here and there, but, Walter is still able to kind of push it back. But, of course, Walter wants to get his hands on Corny after Corny screwed Walter at May Melee out of the world's title. So he's obviously trying to grab at him, and Cobb, interferes. The finish of this match is that Walter has finally got Jeff Cobb in an exposed position and goes to set up for the power bomb, and time expires.
Aw, bullshit.
It's a draw, and the ref pushes Walter back. So, where this is positioned when this is a draw is that he is set up for the power bomb. He hasn't lifted him up yet, but he's got his head between his thighs. Does Walter. So then the ref pushes Walter off, and Cornette now is holding up his hand going, 5 more minutes. We want 5 more minutes. And now is going up and talking to the referee about 5 more minutes. He's holding the referee going, 5, we need 5 more minutes. And the crowd's going, yeah, 5 more minutes. And as Walter turns around to kind of look at Cornette and the referee interacting, Jeff Cobb hits him from behind, deadlift power slam. Corny just laughs and they both dip.
Of course they're gonna dip. They're not gonna take 5 more minutes of pay if they're not gonna get extra pay.
Oh, and I also forgot a part. Jeff Cobb also whiffs Walter in the balls as he turns around too. That's the hit from behind. It's a straight up kick to the balls, and then a deadlift power slam.
Boo! Boo! You suck!
And
suck,
Cornette smiles.
Don't look at me, but don't look at me because you're kind of scary.
Yeah. So the first match is a Haas fight. Now, here's why I put this on first. I have to have the time limit on this matchup be small. Because these are two big dudes. And as you know, Sky, from us watching tons of big man matches over the years, the longer it goes, the worse it looks for both of them. And I understand they both can go. But this is not a situation in this match, in this circumstances, where you want this to go long, because it diminishes the quality of the match. I think 10 minutes is about as long as you can stretch this without it going so long that it exposes either of them for a big man fight. So I had to put it on first so that it had the small time limit enough for the finish to work.
You have to be very careful about which big men you put against each other, because you're either going to get something really, really damn good, or you're going to get something that's a problem. And my thing with this whole match is that Walter is very good. You can trust him with that type of match. I don't necessarily know if you can trust Jeff Cobb with that kind of match.
Yeah, I haven't really put Jeff Cobb in many matches that go longer than 10 minutes. I know you've noticed this.
Which you don't need to have him work long matches. The whole thing is that long equals epic has always been a Triple H-ism I hate.
It's a Triple H Meltzerism. And it's something that's not necessary for these two. I mean, the fact they're going 10 minutes, that's going to feel long for two big guys doing big impact moves.
Right, and it depends again on the big guys. Like, remember that series of matches that Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley had last year?
Yes, I do. Would have been better if they were shorter.
Yes, they would have been better if they were shorter. They were still very, very good, but that's kind of like the limit. Like,
yeah,
once you get bigger than Bobby and Drew and you're going long, that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah. So in order to protect everyone involved, they went on first.
That's fair.
So, then now that we started out with action, we'll go into a bit of a cool down match. It is Adam Cole versus Kenny Omega.
See, here's the thing, is that if this was AEW, that would be the main event.
I know, but it ain't.
It's the second match.
That's right. Now this is Adam Cuck, who has just been humiliated by his wife and his former friends, and he's on a losing streak. And Kenny Omega is also on a losing streak after not taking it seriously, saying nobody does art better than me, and, being a whiny heel that, thinks that this is one giant thespian stage, and that it is he who is the director of and the lead actor of said stage. But after losing to Man Scout Jake Manning last week, he cut a very fiery promo saying, "You want serious Kenny Omega? You got serious Kenny Omega." So, how long do you think this match goes?
5 minutes.
I gave it 6. So that was pretty close. Here is the finish. So Kenny Omega, now for the majority of this match, we're not seeing finger pointing as much anymore. We're not seeing the prep step run before he starts running. That's kind of subsided. Here's the finish. Kenny goes for a V-trigger and Cole is in the corner. Kenny goes for a V-trigger. Cole dodges it, and Kenny hits the turnbuckle with his knee. And Kenny, very over-dramatically sells the knee. Like, he's screaming in pain. He's whining. He's yelling, "Oh my God, my knee!" And the referee goes to, check on his knee. And, he pushes Adam Cole back, kind of waiting on him. And now he's looking over, and the ref's just checking on Kenny's knee. And, as he's saying knee, the ref, goes to actually stop the match and goes over to, ring the bell for the timekeeper. But Cole intercepts him and goes, wait, what's happening here? Because he doesn't know what's going on as far as what the ref's talking to. So he goes to talk to the ref, but when he talks to the ref, he turns his back to Kenny. And when he turns his back to Kenny, Kenny pops right up, kind of shakes his leg off a little bit and turns and takes Adam Cole by both arms and hits his crappy Snapdragon. I'm just going to let him have it. And he hits the Snapdragon, and he didn't even notice it, picks Adam Cole back up, one-winged angel, 1, 2, 3. For the first time in 2 years, Kenny Omega has won a match in ACPW against Adam Cole.
But the Smarks are angry because this should have been the main event, gone 20 minutes. There should have been at least 15 finishers. They should have been in the Tokyo Dome. Dave Meltzer's pants have barely been cut.
But here's the fascinating thing about this. What won Kenny the match was his acting. Because he feigned an injury. So that's what makes this such an interesting finish, at least in my view of like how this would be. And of course, after the match, Kenny is obviously celebrating because he finally won a match and he goes to leave. And Adam just sits in the center of the ring and he just looks down and he just looks so defeated. And the crowd doesn't really care after what they've seen from Adam Cole. They just don't really care.
Apathy.
Yeah, they can hear some laughing at it, but for the most part, there's no like sympathy or applause. He just kind of looks out and he sees just kind of deadpan stares. And he just kind of bows his shoulders and he walks into the back. Your thoughts? This match wasn't made for you, Sky. I recognize that.
It's not. Josh again is crying because this wasn't a 30-minute match. That was the main event of the Tokyo Dome.
Well, it wasn't. But for a low card...
I'm kidding. I don't think... even Josh Geddon, as much as an AEW apologist as he is, knows that Adam Cole and Kenny Omega have their bad moments.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, without a doubt. Without a doubt. But that's why this is a short match. It's just a little bit of acting, and it's way undercard. Way undercard. But is this the start of turning a page for Kenny Omega?
At this point, I could beat Adam Cole.
Yeah.
So let's get a bigger name opponent. Let's have a matchup against Jake Scout Manning again and see what happens.
Jake Scout Manning. I love it.
Jake the Scout Roberts.
That's right. Oh man, we are gonna botch his name more before the end of the night. But we got way more stuff to talk about. So next up is Alexa Bliss with Camille versus Mickie James. Now,
okay, so it's Alexa Bliss versus Mickie James.
Yes. So, for those of you who are not up to date with ACPW, what happened was Camille lost a title match, albeit under suspicious circumstances, to Shayna Baszler. Alexa Bliss coerced Camille to join her side as akin to the Shawn Michaels Kevin Nash dynamic. Did it at the expense of Mickie James in a match with Alexa Bliss and Mickie James. So here we are having a rematch. How long do you think this match goes?
I'm cool with this because this is a big card women's match and you need that if you're going to promote the idea of having women at least be somewhat equal to the men. Give them multiple matches instead of just one match.
You're giving multiple matches, but you're getting multiple matches that have some context to them.
And not just a women's match that's happening because it is.
Not just let's get 7 women on the card and whatever it looks like is what it looks like.
I.e. whatever WWE does with their women's division at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm going to predict... What's the time limit for this match again?
10 minutes.
7-minute match.
It is a 7-minute match. Nicely done. Here's the finish. That's right. So... Of course, Camille, like here and there, is kind of staying, but Alexa Bliss gets the heat. Mickie starts making the comeback, but when Mickie goes to shoot off the ropes, Camille just slams her hard, like grabs her foot and just sweeps her down and just slams Mickey's face hard on the mat. Now, the referee obviously sees this and starts giving Camille the business. And Camille, like, moves forward to, like, interact with the ref, like she's going to try to get in. And what she does, she moves one of her arms past the referee, like behind her back, like she's trying to get in. Now, at this moment, Alexa Bliss sees what Camille's doing and grabs like one of the bracers that she's got on her wrist. You know how she has those like those gladiator bracelets that she wears, those bracers that she wears when she walks to the ring, Camille?
Yep.
So she takes one of those off of Camille's hand as Camille is having this interaction with the ref, puts it around her fist, wham, right hand to Mickie James, tosses it to the side, goes for a cover, Camille backs away, 1, 2, 3.
I like this. It's a heel finish, obviously.
Yep.
You have to get Alexa Bliss a win with Camille in order to make that partnership worth a damn.
Exactly. And it's Mickie James. She can bounce back from that. It's her career is pretty much ironclad at this point. So having her take this loss, I don't think necessarily hurts her in this way, especially because it was a fuck finish and Mickie probably would have been fine if Camille had not been involved in this equation to begin with. But it's also a way to get Alexa Bliss some level of heat so that, like you said, it gives the pairing credibility.
Yep. By the way, did you hear about the news with Mickie James?
I did not.
I believe she's planning on retiring at the end of this year.
All right, well, then all's well that ends well. But a hell of a run for Mickie James. I do really like Mickie and all of her accomplishments. She deserves a Hall of Fame bid no matter where she gets it.
Right, because again, she wasn't the woman, but she was one of the women.
She was holding it down for quite some time. She's one of the few people that they like immediately put on par with Trish Stratus in 2006. They made her important in otherwise not too many women are important division.
Yep. Like, the thing with her is that even though she's not as highly sought after as the Horsewoman, Trish Stratus, or Lita, she's in that cut that's right underneath with the Molly Hollies and a couple of the others that are just like, she was damn good in the ring.
Yeah. And honestly, if you look at her track record and impact, it's more impressive than her WWE run, to the point where she was holding the knockouts down for almost a decade.
Holding the knockouts up.
Yeah. Well, I mean like holding down the fort. Not like holding knockouts down, like holding down the fort, like keeping it.
Okay, I just want to be clear, because I don't think she was I don't think she big brain anybody.
Yeah, no, that wasn't what I meant by that. So,
okay. Anyways,
now
what's the next match?
Well, we're not at a match yet. We're backstage, and it's Tony Schiavone, and he goes, "Hello, my name is Tony Schiavone, the backstage announcer / interviewer for ACPW, and I am here along with a man who wrestled tonight. Didn't come up on the winning column, but he's a guy who has known to win before, but just not recently. Adam Cole, and Adam Cole, he comes in, he's kind of bowed-shouldered, and and Adam goes, and Tony's like, Adam, this obviously wasn't your night here in Orlando, and there's a lot of big names watching, but this is more than just tonight. You've gotten through a lot in the past, 6 months or so. What are your thoughts here after another loss, this time to the previously winless Kenny Omega? And Adam Cole says, when I came here to ACPW, I had a grand vision. And since that vision, I've had everything get taken away from me. I've had my friends stab me in the back. I've had somebody that I thought I could trust in Roderick Strong also stab me in the back. And now I've got my wife calling me a loser, calling me an idiot, telling me not to be a part of her matches because she's better than I am. I've lost my credibility. I feel like I've lost my manhood. I've lost everything, Tony. And the worst part about it is that, especially after tonight, I've lost my passion. I don't feel like I have my smile anymore. I feel like I've lost that too, and I don't know, Tony. Maybe it's time for Adam Cole to go home. Maybe it's time to go home. And he pats Tony on the shoulder, and he goes to walk away, and you hear from a distance, like hell you're going home. And Adam Cole looks over, and you see this look overtake his face, like he's just in utter shock at who is here. Now, I said there were a lot of big names in Orlando, and from the back, visiting ACPW, walks in Shawn Michaels.
What? What?
And he goes, "What the hell happened to you, man? What happened to Adam Cole, baby? What happened to the Adam Cole that I know? The Adam Cole that would kick ass, take names. The Adam Cole that was called the next Heartbreak Kid. I taught you better than this. You're Adam Cole, baby. And you better start acting like it. Because take it from someone who's lost his smile before. Trust me when I say it is way more important and way more satisfying to prove all of the haters wrong, to prove everyone who says you're selfish, everyone who says you're a prick, everyone who says that you're not worthy of what you've gotten. I don't care how down you are. I don't care how it's your family that's beating you down. You're better than this. You've always been better than this, and I know you. I know the real you. This isn't the real you, Adam Cole. Because the real you wouldn't settle for being a bitch. The real Adam Cole would turn around and make them your bitch. Now, you don't have to listen to what I say, but shape up your act and be the Shawn Michaels that we all know you are. And Shawn turns around and walks away, and Cole just like stands in bewilderment. He's like, "Shawn, hold up. And he runs after him, and Tony Schiavone's like, "Well, I can't say that I expected that. And clearly there's something more going on here. I can't believe that Shawn was here, but we've got more show coming tonight. What else is going to happen? Matt and Taz, let's get back to you."
Okay, can I ask you a question?
Shoot.
Did you just do this so that you could cut a Shawn Michaels promo?
Did you notice that Shawn Michaels promo was really all about Shawn Michaels and not really about Adam Cole?
Yes.
That's why I did this promo.
But admit it, you just want to cut a Shawn Michaels
I did.
promo.
But the fact that I cut this promo to get Adam Cole some fire, but still Shawn Michaels was still able to make it all about Shawn Michaels. And that really is the magic of an HBK promo. And, you know, and I got to add all the keynotes in. I lost my smile. Well, I also lost my smile, and that's bullshit. You know? So your thoughts on Shawn Michaels trying to be the one to wake up Adam Cole?
If anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Mr. Michaels himself. I just hope that this is what it takes for Shawn Michaels to get Adam Cole to not be a pussy.
Well, Cole obviously went to follow Shawn Michaels, so their conversation is not going to stop here at this promo, but Shawn dressing him down on live television is a good way to... It's a good start.
It's a very good start. I'm curious about this. You are making me interested in Adam Cole when I should not be.
Yeah, and well, that was the goal, because I didn't want Adam Cole... You know, you and I both said it as I was going through this Adam Cuck storyline. It's like, how long until he's cut? You know? And I'm like, give it some time. I want this to kind of boil over first. You know, and I want to see if there is going to be a turning point here. And again, mentioning the history between Shawn and Adam Cole, while Shawn basically just talked about Shawn.
But I mean, how are you going to do a Shawn Michaels promo except without talking about himself?
Yeah, that's the thing. You can't have Shawn Michaels promote somebody else. What would that mean? That's not realistic. Now, it's this fantasy booking, folks, but we got to keep some level of realism here.
Yeah, you can't just pretend that these guys and girls are not going to act like who they are in real life.
That's right. Now, our next match, I guess we're at match 4. Damian Priest versus Shorty G. How long do you think this goes?
Well, we're going into the mid-card matches now, so let's say 10 minutes?
It's going to go 5 minutes. Now, the way this is going to go is Shorty G obviously tries to get the jump. he tries to get the heat immediately. Priest is just too big, right? And Shorty G's trying everything in the book. So finally, the finish of this match is Damian Priest goes for a chokeslam kind of near the ropes. Shorty G, as he's lifted up, kind of slides out of it and goes to hit the backslide that he beat Eli Drake with. Goes for a backslide on Damian Priest and again does the same thing where he gets his feet on the ropes. 1, 2, Damian Priest rolls out of it, is still able to roll out of it. And Shorty G, obviously upset, gets back up, goes to charge Damian Priest, and Priest just boots the shit out of him. And Shorty G just flops like a fish. And then Priest takes him up, choke slam, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, you need to give Damian Priest a win like this if you're going to plan on doing anything with him in the future.
Well, after getting close with Brock, I wanted to do something that still made him feel like he was worthy of having that match in the first place.
Right. It's one of those situations where if you're going to push someone, you got to commit to it on some level, even if you're going to renege on it later.
Right.
Like, you could totally choose to just not push Damian Priest in the future, but you have to make the effort at least at first.
Yeah, and here's the thing with Shorty G, right? Like, I don't want him necessarily to be the jobber to the stars, but he's really, really good at it. It's just one of those things where I feel like with what we've built, and like especially with his loss with Hammerstone, like there's definitely a ceiling with Shorty G. As good a mid-card heel as he's been, there's a ceiling.
Right. And again, Chad Gable in real life is a really damn good wrestler. He deserves everything that he gets. But in no way do any of us think that he could ever be a main event guy, at least not as he is right now.
Yeah. No, agreed.
But again, that's not a bad thing. He can be a mid-card wrestler, and being a mid-card wrestler isn't a bad thing.
No, not at all. You need him. You can't have a top card guy without mid-card guys.
Right, because who's going to do the jobs? Who's going to take the losses?
And honestly, considering that I view Priest as a bigger potential draw as Shorty G, this is kind of the outcome I had to go with.
Yeah.
Now we're going backstage again with Tony Schiavone. And goes, well, it's been a wild night already. I am Tony Schiavone, of course, backstage interviewer here at ACPW, and I'm here with a man who has got a tough order up on his plate here tonight. In a no time limit match later on. Of course, we're going to see it much later, but here to give his thoughts heading into that match, CM Punk. And CM Punk is there, and Schiavone goes, well, Punk, tonight you face Brock Lesnar. The first match you went to a draw in the May Melee ACPW Heavyweight Championship Tournament. This time, no restrictions on the time limits. What are your thoughts going into tonight, and how are you going to handle Paul Heyman? And Punk goes, you don't have to worry about that. I can handle Paul Heyman anytime I want, anywhere I want. If anyone here in this business knows how to handle Paul Heyman, it's me. But the fact of the matter is, tonight, a statement is made. Tonight, the foundation of the future of professional wrestling is built on these shoulders. Because tonight, I take out the sports entertainment figurehead. I kill sports entertainment tonight, symbolically and physically, in the form of Brock Lesnar. I've mentioned many times that Brock Lesnar represents what this industry became, but not what it is destined to be. And there is a future of professional wrestling, and it doesn't just end with me. I'm just a spoke on the wheel. But that wheel is going to keep turning with more talent that comes into ACPW, because ACPW is the place where the best professional wrestling takes place, period. And oh, snap! Damian Priest, hey, no, come here, man. And Damian Priest, who's been walking from the ring, comes in, and Punk lays a hug on Priest and goes, man, congratulations. That was a great match. Great effort. And Priest is like, oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. And Punk goes, man, you are one of the, before you go back and, I know you want to shower and all that, but I just got to tell you to your face, man, I've watched you. I've watched you since before I decided to come back to this industry, and you are the personification of what this industry should be. You have such talent. You have such potential, and I know you're going to tap into that potential. But let me ask you something. You faced Brock Lesnar a couple weeks ago, right? And Damian Priest is like, yeah. He's like, I watched that match. And I got to tell you, you won that match, Priest. And you know it, and I know it, and these people know it. But Paul Heyman made sure that your name wasn't put on the marquee tonight. Because if you had beaten Brock Lesnar that night, you would have been shot up to stardom where you deserve to be. So are you going to let a guy like Paul Heyman dictate your future? You're a guy, look at the size of you, look at your ability. Nobody should be able to touch you. But you're going to let a waddling penguin in a suit determine Damian Priest's future? Now look, I'm not telling you what to do. You don't have to listen to me. I'm just a guy here who just tells it like it is, tells it like I see it. I've always been that way. But are you going to tap into your potential and be the man who shoots the arrow into the heart of sports entertainment and unlocks the new era of pro wrestling? Or are you going to let sports entertainment keep you down? Think about it. And watch tonight as I put the dagger into sports entertainment's back and watch it slowly die. And and Tony Schiavone goes, Damian, you had any response to this? And Damian goes, well, Punk, I respect you. I respect everything about you. And I'm looking forward to seeing your match tonight. You give me a lot to think about. But don't get confused. If I wanted to beat Brock Lesnar, Heyman wouldn't stop me again. And he walks off, and Punk walks off, and Tony Schiavone goes, well, an interesting interaction between two very interesting individuals, and we'll have to see what happens with Punk and Lesnar, but in the meantime, Matt and Taz, let's get back to you.
Spoke on the wheel, huh?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You know exactly what the hell we're talking about. Color me interested in whatever you're doing with CM Punk and Damian Priest. The only thing is that based on the timelines, that would have meant that CM Punk would have paid for the WWE Network, and I can't see him giving money to Triple H and Vince McMahon.
Well, I mean, maybe he paid NBC, he paid Peacock, and then went back and watched all of it.
Okay.
I'm stretching here, but you know,
that still will be giving money to Vince McMahon's podcast.
Well, you can torrent it. The internet's a wild place. I'm sure Punk was able to rip some of it off. I know WWE puts up some full matches occasionally on their YouTube channels, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that Punk has seen Damian Priest before by unconventional means.
Okay, I will give you that.
And to be fair, Punk seems like the guy who would torrent shit instead of paying for it.
Especially when it comes to Triple H, because fuck Triple H. Anyways, no, I'm kidding. I love Triple H.
In Punk's mind, yes. So,
yeah. Anyways, the point is that I'm really interested in what this means, because you are putting Damian Priest over in a big way, just having him interact with CM Punk. Because who you have CM Punk interact with really does bring up the level and profile of whoever it is.
Sure. Yeah, and the thing is with Damian Priest, it's like, think about what I've done with Damian Priest in the past, since I've drafted him this year, or since I've had him this year. He's won some squash matches. He got very close to beating Brock Lesnar, and he beat Shorty G, and now CM Punk is saying that he is the future of professional wrestling. Clearly, I have some plans for this guy.
Right, and you're slow rolling him. You're not just going to push him right away, right down the throat, because I have to, because look at him. You're taking your time with him.
Mm-hmm. And that's the goal.
That's the goal.
So, and because, another thing I want to do is that I definitely do see value in Damian Priest long term, because you and I can both agree, I've got a pretty old roster. So I need to start making some of these younger people seem and feel more important, like they could, if some of these guys start to retire, seamlessly take over and still be money-making draws.
You say that, but Damian Priest is also 39 and about to turn 40.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he still can't go for another 4 or 5 years. I mean, hell.
That's true. And nowadays with guys' cardio, wrestlers can wrestle until their 40s and 50s. I mean, Edge was around for a long time.
And considering that in ACPW, I don't stand for a lot of flippy shit, too. I'm making sure guys are taking care of their bodies in a lot of ways. So, like, just add, it prolongs the mileage you can use.
Fair enough. Now, I'm really interested to see again where this goes, because you have earmarked Damian Priest for greatness. Will he hit that greatness?
We'll find out. We will find out. But up next, we have our first of 2 title matches at the exact halfway point of the show. It is Shayna Baszler defending her women's championship against Britt Baker with the Posse, Jamie Hayter and Rhea.
Okay.
How long do you think this match goes?
8 minutes?
I gave it 11. Because I want this women's title match. I don't want this to just be a short women's match, just like the other one. Yes, 7 minutes is 7 minutes, but like I still want the women to feel like they're getting proper main event time, even if they're not in the main event. But you women are important match time, but not too much match time.
Right, because you have a lot of matches on the show. You have to kind of be very careful who you give match time to.
That's right. But now we're into the final, the final 5 matches, so all of these can start going a little bit longer. We've gotten past, the smaller stuff, so now we can hit some of the larger stuff. So, match goes 11 minutes. Here's the finish. Now, before I give you this finish, Sky, this is the one I full-fledged expect you not to like. Here's the finish. Shayna hits a big power slam on Britt after the comeback, obviously. But really, Shayna has been in control for most of the matchup, with aside from some like shenanigans with Rhea and Jamie on the side, but nothing huge. But Shayna's really outpowering and out-wrestling Britt Baker, as she should. So, Shayna hits a big power slam on Britt Baker. When this happens, Rhea gets onto the apron, and the referee goes over and says, hey, you can't be on the apron. And as she's on one side, Jamie Hayter comes in from the other side and hits Shayna from behind. But Shayna, kind of no-sells and is like, what are you doing? So then she wails on Jamie Hayter and clotheslines her over the top rope. Now, while this is happening, Rhea is still arguing with the referee. Shayna sees this, turns around, goes over and runs over to hit Rhea, but Rhea positions the referee so that Shayna clotheslines the referee by complete accident over the top rope. And the referee's clocked, right? But Rhea still is kind of out of the way, but Britt sees the distraction, takes advantage, and goes to hit the lockjaw. And she's got her in it, and she's about to get the hand on, the hand into the mouth. But before she's able to get it, Shayna rolls through so that Britt is on her stomach. And when Britt's on her stomach, Shayna's able to hit her rear naked choke and turn back around so that it's flipped up. Everyone can see it's the rear naked choke. She grapevines the legs. Britt Baker is in a real bad way. You see her tap. You hear the ring bell. The crowd goes wild. Shayna has retained. And then you hear the announcer say, ladies and gentlemen, the winner of this match as a result of a disqualification, Dr. Britt Baker. And Shayna's like, wait, what? And she's trying to understand what happened, but then they play the replay. The referee disqualified Shayna for clotheslining him outside of the ring. So technically, Shayna still retains the belt, but also technically, Britt Baker has beaten the women's champion. And Britt Baker celebrates kind of half-heartedly with both of the ladies as they just try, she just tries to get out of Dodge. She's holding her throat. She's not in a good way because Shayna beat the tar out of her. But she's subtly kind of celebrating. Shayna's like, well, that was deflating. The crowd was like, yeah, that kind of agreed. That was kind of deflating. And we go,
you suck. Ref, you suck. Ref, you suck.
And that's the matchup. Your thoughts, and then I'll explain why I did this.
I wonder where you got this finish from.
I don't know what you're talking about, baby. I just came up with it straight out of the top of the dome. And I just told everybody, hey, let's get the shot like this where you go win the title, but then you not.
Yeah, see, I had to go funky like a monkey on it. You know what I'm saying?
This is a dusty finish. True and true.
Okay. I like the idea of this because you are protecting both women in different ways. You are keeping the belt on Shayna Baszler, which I agree. You should keep the belt on Shayna Baszler. She shouldn't lose it yet.
Right.
However, you also need to get over Britt Baker as a threat. And this is a way that Britt Baker can just go on TV and say, I beat the women's champion, but I'm not champion. I need another shot at the title.
Exactly.
And you open the avenue for future matches. I understand the logic. I just feel like you're kicking the fans that are there in attendance in the dicks.
I know, and I feel bad about it, but it's like, that's why this match is on now. So they can recover from this with the actual, like, rest of the show. I understand your point, and I completely agree with it. And here's the thing that, like, makes this difficult. And why this, I tossed this idea back and forth quite a lot over this past week, whether I should even do this finish, but I said yes to it, and here's why. Normally with a dusty finish, it would be baby faces beating heel champions for their belts. They've won the belts, and then no, you didn't win the belt, it's still their belt. This is a situation where a champion, babyface champion, beats a heel challenger clean, but the heel wins, but they just still don't win the belt. So it's not quite a dusty finish. And it actually almost like, it's almost the opposite of what made a dusty finish work. However, like you said, Sky, Britt Baker can hold this over Shayna Baszler for the next several weeks until she gets a rematch. But Shayna Baszler also has the case that she wouldn't have had that loss on her record were it not for Jamie Hayter and Rhea at ringside. So there's an out to both of these women here that while this may not be what the fans wanted, this is probably the best case scenario for keeping this feud going.
Right, which is ultimately what you want to do, is that you want to keep this feud going because you can get a lot of money for the women's division out of this feud. And again, a higher stipulation at a bigger show, which the next show is in December for you.
Yes, sir.
And that's your big show of the year.
Yes, that's the major one.
And I'm sure a Shayna Baszler and Britt Baker rematch with a gimmick added on top would be just a bit of a seller, wouldn't you think?
I think it would definitely, well, considering how much Britt Baker's been a part of ACPW and how Shayna Baszler just came in and laid waste to people, I think it could work. But you're going to have to stay tuned to find out. But it's hard, if you're in attendance at this show, it's hard to see the bigger picture here. I'd be pissed. Admittedly, I'd be pissed.
Right, so you need something to make the crowd happy. Now, what are you going to give to the crowd to make them happy?
How about a dream match?
Oh?
It's Bryan Danielson with Jim Cornette versus MJF.
You're just giving all the smarks what they want.
Yeah, well, I'm giving everybody what they want. I want this match.
All right, tell me.
So, how long do you think this goes? There's only 4 matches on the card left.
You have to give it at least double-digit minutes. I'm saying 14.
It is, in fact, 14 minutes.
Ha!
Very nice.
Oh, I win. A very good match.
You win the finish. And so, here is the finish. Now, this one, this took... I'm not even going to say it. I'll get at your reaction. I will say what I think about this finish. Here's the finish. These two men have been fighting back and forth. It's been a hell of a match. Hell of a match for 12 and a half minutes. Both guys are groggy. MJF is the ref's counting when both are down, counting both, up to 10. They get up to like 5 or 6. And MJF is the first one to get up, but Danielson is also up at roughly the same time. MJF goes, now, before I continue, do you know when Triple H would throw a right hand where he'd get a couple of like steps prior to like wind up the punch?
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about? So MJF's going to do that, and I'm going to tell you why that's important. It's just mostly to close the gap between him and MJF. But and Danielson, rather, MJF goes and sets up for a punch and goes to throw the punch. As he goes to throw the punch, Danielson charges and goes to hit the running knee. The knee connects with MJF, but the right hand accidentally hits Danielson square in the balls. So MJF gets knocked out. Danielson just bows over, so both men get knocked down again. Now Cornette is mad. He gets up and he's saying, that's a DQ. He hit him in the balls. Like, that's a disqualification, right? And now keep in mind that Danielson has been arrogant in his attitude, but he hasn't necessarily been healing as far as doing thumbs to the eye or anything like that in this matchup. Kind of like the one he did before when he faced, I think it was Trevor Mann.
Okay.
And so he's arrogant, but he's not doing thumbs to the eyes or raking the back or anything like that. It's just his, demeanor. Jim Cornette is arguing with the referee, saying that is a disqualification. By terms, that's a disqualification. And the referee is saying, well, it was an accident, though. It wasn't like he intended to hit him in the balls, right? So they're having this interaction. While they're having this interaction, Brian Danielson, rather, that's still hard. That is never going to be easy for me to do. And
you can say Daniel Bryan. We know what you mean.
But Daniel Bryan is an NWL wrestler. Bryan Danielson is an ACPW wrestler. And so Bryan Danielson...
And Daniel Garcia ended up becoming a tag team with Bryan Danielson. They'd be called Daniel Bryan.
or Daniel. But anyway...
Daniel Sons.
That's right. Oh, there we go. That's actually not bad. Don't give AEW ideas. Tony Khan, you didn't hear that. Anyway.
Here's the thing is that Bryan Danielson and Daniel Garcia had a match on Dynamite this past week where Bryan Danielson won, but he gained respect for Daniel Garcia and maybe he ends up joining their group.
I don't care.
You don't care about Daniel Garcia possibly working with Daniel Bryan?
I want Bryan Danielson to be as far away from groups as humanly possible. Because it only keeps him down. I know.
So the hypocriticalness.
Yeah, no, but I'm talking in real life. Yeah, but think about the groups in real life versus the cult of Cornette. And tell me that that's a distinction without a difference.
No, that is a difference with a distinction.
Yeah. So, anyway, while Corny's having this conversation, Danielson actually kind of gets up. He's still holding his nads, but he goes over and covers MJF. But the referee is still talking to Cornette. And the fans are going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The referee is distracted with Cornette. So Danielson gets up and he's a little frustrated, but Corny finally sees Danielson's up and gets back down. So Danielson goes again for a running knee. MJF gets up. Danielson goes to hit the running knee, but MJF gets out of the way. Danielson lands flat in his back. MJF is able to get him up for the BTY driver. 1, 2, 3. MJF wins.
Ooh. Okay. So this is the match that you should have had Bryan Danielson lose somebody to. Is somebody who's actually going to be a star. Right, Tony Khan?
That's right. That's it. You're damn right. Yeah. Your thoughts on the finish, how it went down, and what do you think's happening with both these guys going forward?
You had to give... Bryan Danielson is as bulletproof as they get as far as veteran wrestlers go. He's still Bryan Danielson. He's going to be a star no matter what.
Yep.
You have to use this opportunity to build someone. And MJF has been built, I think, fairly. But no one would say that MJF is the best wrestler at this moment. But you're making the argument he is because he beat Bryan Danielson. And I like the fact that there was a little bit of a thing with the ball shots. And Jim Cornette has a right to be angry. But at the end of the day, Bryan Danielson still recovered. So did MJF. And it didn't really affect the finish. It still was that MJF was better than Bryan Danielson on this day.
But this is something of a controversial finish in that respect, because then the talk of the Smarks the next week is, did he intend to hit him in the balls? Was that the point? There's no way he did, but everyone knows MJF, even though he's been a great babyface up to this point. It stirs the pot a little bit about everybody involved. Because do you feel bad for Danielson? Because he didn't, it wasn't his fault that Corny was arguing with the referee. Corny's the one that actually cost Danielson the match at the end of it. And there's a lot of different moving parts here that make this a very intriguing place for everyone to go moving forward.
Yep, I think that's fair. And this is leading to better matches in the future, because we can have these two rematch again, or we can have Maxwell Jacob Freeman wrestle against other guys.
Right, this doesn't necessarily have to continue going into December, right? Like, it can, but it doesn't have to, right? And there's a lot of places that these guys can go now that aren't necessarily directly linked with each other, but you know that these two can get back into the ring and they will have a reason to at some point.
Yeah, again, I think there's a lot of interesting ways you could go with this. I mean, hell, I would want a rematch of this match.
Yeah, I would too. So a lot to see there, and also this makes it so that it is currently a 0-1-1 for the Cult of Cornette. Lost one, tied one. And they got one more match coming up a little bit later. Actually, so much a little bit later that it's actually coming up next. But not before. We pull something out of NXT's book. And we get some shots, and Matt Striker goes, well, folks, we mentioned before that there are a lot of wrestlers that come in and out of Orlando, and we had quite a few of them want to come and see ACPW, so we want to just take a moment now to just acknowledge some of these great men who have come to watch. And they do various shots of people in the audience, like Paul White's there, and Mark Henry's there, and the New Age Outlaws are there. Not necessarily sitting next to each other, but not necessarily not sitting next to each other.
They could be sitting next to each other.
Yeah, who cares? You know, somebody like, I don't know, Lita is there.
Shawn Michaels.
Great to see. Shawn Michaels is there, but, he's talking to Adam Cole. But here's the important part of this. The last person they pan to, which gets a pop unheard of in ACPW up to this point, is Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Hell yeah, brother.
And, no, he's not there. Hulk ain't there.
Sorry. Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. So, but the crowd goes crazy for him. And as we heard a couple weeks ago, there were whispers going around that Steve Austin was interested in ACPW as far as watching it, on his podcast. He said it's a great program. So he finally is here and is watching the show. And he's been here, and the crowd goes crazy that he's here. But he's just
Stone Cold.
Yeah.
Stone Cold.
But he's just in attendance. So
yeah, but he's probably having a beer and having a good time.
Oh yeah, no, he's having a good time. He's talking to people next to him. He's in a good spot. The next match is a tag match. It is a revenge match, so to speak. It is FTR versus the Varsity Blondes. Now, I'm sure you're a little surprised that of all the matches of the Cult of Cornette, this is the one I chose to go on last.
Once you explained why you had Jeff Cobb open the show, I kind of figured that this match was going to either be before or after MJF and Bryan Danielson. But, I mean, they're the former tag team champions. They have a little bit more of a build. No disrespect to Bryan Danielson, but they have a little bit more of a build as being former ACPW tag team champions. Which, of the number, there's only been 3, right?
It has been FTR, it's been the Hardys, it's been Wrestling's Finest.
Right, and the Hardys aren't here anymore, so
yeah.
They're one of the very few champions that you have crowned.
Yes, and as such, I want them to still feel like they're that important, which they are. To the division, honestly, we could not do this tag division without FTR.
No, because they're the ones that have been holding everything.
Yeah, they are the glue to that tag division. I lose them, that whole thing unravels. So...
Right, no disrespect for the other tag teams of the division. Like, I still love Eddie Kingston. I still love Outlaw Inc. I still love the Briscoes. But
And actually, I have to mention this. Outlaw Inc. and Santana or Ortiz were going to be on this show, but once again, I did not have enough room for them, and they ended up getting booted again. And
you need to make that a storyline of them feeling disrespected.
I feel bad, but it's like, look at the rest of this card and tell me where they fit.
On the pre-show.
Yeah, which there isn't one. So, and that's no knock on any of them.
Very beginning of the preliminaries.
Yeah. So
and at that point, you're having 10 matches. That's way too much.
Yeah, but they will probably have a rematch next week. You know, they're not being involved. They're just not involved tonight.
If anything, they could be the main event of the TV show, and that'd probably be better because you get more eyes.
That's right. So, FTR versus the Varsity Blondes. How long do you think this match goes? Now we are in the final 3 matches. It is 30-minute time limit, no time limit, 60-minute time limit.
I imagine you're not going to give this a 30-minute match. I imagine it's going to be like, 8 minutes?
No, no. It's going to go long.
What?
I'm giving it 16.
How?
I'll tell you. FTR is going to work on Garrison's leg for a very long time. And there is a reason. And we'll get to that in a second. Now, before I continue talking about this finish, I want to mention something that goes into semantics. In WWE, typically the way that the ring is framed for the tag teams is that the babyface tag team is in the top left corner and the heels are in the bottom right. Almost always. You with me?
I'm with you.
So I'm not going to be doing that for our tag matches. The way that I have it structured is more like the way that it looked in Houston wrestling, where the heels are on the bottom left corner and the baby faces are in the top right corner. With the entranceway being on the left-hand side like the hard cam looks like in WWE. Just so make sure everybody picturizes, baby, what I'm getting across here. You with me?
I'm with you.
Okay, so, and the reason I've been mentioning this is that positioning is crucial for this finish to work. So, Pillman makes the comeback, but and Cash is in the ring, and Dax, he gets kind of tossed through the ropes, but Cash eventually derails it with a thumb to the eye and a DDT. Now, what happens next is all of 30 to 45 seconds. It doesn't take very long, which means it's going to require some heads-up moves by everybody here. Here's what happens. Cash DDTs Pillman. Corny, who is, in the corner of the, in the heel corner on the bottom right, takes his tennis racket and throws it smack dab into the middle of the ring. Or kind of towards Dax, or towards Cash, as he, take it, but the referee is obviously in the middle of the ring. He's like, you can't use that, and you can't use that. So the referee goes and he takes the racket, and he pulls the racket, and now he's closer to the ropes as he turns to go walk to the other side of the ring to drop off the racket. Corny reaches back behind his suit, pulls out a second racket, and hands it to Dax, who is now on the corner where he should be. Now, Cash now picks up Pillman and has got him as Dax gets in the ring, and this is while the referee is going to drop off the racket. This is why this is only taking a few seconds. Dax goes in, goes to hit Pillman with the racket, but before he's able to actually do it, Garrison on one leg hits a dropkick to Cash that dropkicks Cash out through the ropes, and the racket goes flying. So he's not able to do it. He gets intercepted. Pillman gets the better of Cash, lifts him up, brainbuster. 1, 2, 3. The Varsity Blondes have beaten FTR again.
What?
But seconds later, Jim Cornette is throwing an absolute fit, and from out of nowhere, a guy in a track pants and a hoodie runs into the ring as Pillman goes to celebrate and gets RKO'd.
Oh no.
And Randy Orton is back. 6 months is up. And now, what happens next only takes a few seconds as well. FTR gets back up and they're kind of holding Pillman down. Garrison is in, they go in and they hit Garrison. They bring Garrison in the middle of the ring. He's on one leg. Orton rolls out, grabs a chair, comes back in, positions the chair right in between the leg of Garrison, and Pillmanizes Griff Garrison's leg, and the Cult leaves as security bum rushes the ring and Pillman goes over to take care of his friend. There's a hush that goes over the crowd as Garrison is clearly not in a good way, and they have to kind of escort him out, with him hopping on one leg. And it's not looking good for the Varsity Blondes because FTR and Randy Orton may have just crushed one of the teammates. Your thoughts?
Given that at this point, the Cult of Cornette is now 0-2-1, but who cares because Randy Orton's back?
That's right.
Making an impact, making a statement. The only thing you could have done is that you maybe could have used the punt.
Here's why I didn't. I don't necessarily want Griff Garrison to be crippled for the rest of his life. and as much as I want to give the punt, I still want to have later on, because Titus O'Neil still has to come back. I'm still selling the original punt. I don't want it to happen to somebody else as well while I'm still selling the first one's lethality.
Fair enough, and also it's ironic that you are Pillmanizing the tag team partner of Brian Pillman Jr.
Yeah, I couldn't resist that. That was just perfect. And the original way, which was by the leg. That's the original Pillmanizing angle. So, and if you'll notice, this is the first and pretty much only post-match angle I've done all night.
Right. I mean, you've done stuff in between, but you haven't done anything afterwards. This is perfect for what it has to be. And the biggest thing is that this is quick. It's an RKO. It's a Pillmanizing. It's a let's leave.
Yeah.
It's not dragged out and milled. I'm going to look at the chair. Then I'm going to go grab the chair. I have to look at the chair a little bit more. Then I'm finally going to go grab it.
Yeah.
I'm going to look at the chair while I'm at the ringside. Then I'm finally going to get back inside. The crowd is telling me no. The referee's telling me no. I'm Roman Reigns. I'm the tribal chief. I'm going to look at the chair one more time. And I'm going to hit Seth Rollins.
Yeah, exactly. You don't rob a bank.
Back one time and leave.
Yeah, you don't rob a bank and have a giant sack of cash over your shoulder and then spend 15 minutes looking at all the cameras in the bank and looking at all the people down on the ground as you have the bag and walk away. If you're committing your crime, you get in and you get out.
Right, because again, in the real world, security would be on the scene. They'd be getting you out of the way.
Yep.
They'd be trying to stop you.
And this gets all of the heat back that they would have lost from going 0-2-1 on the night. Not to mention, the shenanigans at the beginning with Walter, but this really is here to not make sure that nothing is diminished from the Cult of Cornette, even if the night didn't go the way they intended.
It's just interesting now that you have the Cult of Cornette with 5 wrestling members along with Jim Cornette. That's a lot of dangerous bodies that you have.
It's true. And here's the other thing too, and I want to kind of just emphasize this as something to be worth. Part of what my initiative has been, because as I mentioned, I have an older roster, is I'm trying to get teams and individuals and entities to feel important and feel more important and valued so that they become better built going forward. That's why Damian Priest had the match that he had on this night. That's why the Varsity Blondes have beaten FTR twice. Because if there's anyone that's going to elevate the Varsity Blondes as a tag team to feel like a threat, it is going to be FTR.
But you haven't beaten FTR the powder beforehand, so that way the victory actually means something.
Exactly. They've only lost a handful of matches at this point.
Right, and you're not just having them lose to any schlubs because of a stupid reason. Looking at you, Tony Khan.
That's right. So that's that. And now you see why it was 16 minutes. I'm really trying to get some of these guys who would not normally be, valued that way.
Right, because we're trying to build them up to the big point.
That's right.
Where they can be a main event talent in a tag team or singles.
But what's going to happen with Griff Garrison? What's going to happen with Brian Pillman? And now, does Pillman no longer have a partner? And how are the Cult of Cornette going to respond to the fact that, yes, Randy Orton is back, but also FTR have lost 2 consecutive tag team matches to the same team. Well, we've got more to go because now we're into the co-main event. We got two big matches, although there is only one main event on this show, but everyone likes calling the last 2 matches a co-main event. So,
co-main event, the reason why we call it co-main event is to get the second match that's next to the main event a little bit of shine. So that way, when you are advertising it, you're saying, this is the big event, but this is the secondary event that's also important too. That way you have more things to sell for a show.
Yeah. And here's the thing. This match doesn't need to be called the co-main event because these guys are big enough draws that they don't need it. It's CM Punk versus Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman. No time limit. How long do you think this match goes?
5 minutes.
This one's
Brock
also
Lesnar squash. And then here comes Hulk Hogan, the right and wrong. He drops the leg drop. Cover. 1, 2, 3.
Hey, that's my gimmick. That's my gimmick. Alas, you are mistaken, sir. Although
it's not 5 minutes.
Although something tells me you may not have been completely serious in that guess.
It wasn't.
It goes 14. And here's the finish. So Brock, obviously this one is going to be, it's not necessarily like big fight, like it's not necessarily like big moves all the time, but it's also not a slow methodical match either. It really is back and forth. Punk uses the power game, Brock uses the power game, but Punk is just craftier. He's finding ways to get out of holds and get out of suplexes and all these little things that he's using to his advantage. But eventually, this gets back. Punk makes a big comeback, but eventually Brock Lesnar does hit an F5, goes for the cover, 1, 2, Punk gets his foot on the ropes. So, Brock goes so the referee sees it and, obviously breaks it off, and Heyman's going, no, do it again, finish it. Brock drags Punk into the middle of the ring. He goes to get another F5, but Punk slips out of it, lifts up Lesnar, Punk hits a GTS. And Punk goes for the cover. Brock's in the center of the ring. This is what he almost beat him with the time limit. 1, 2, and Paul Heyman pulls the referee out of the ring.
Of course he does.
And now what happens next takes all of, once again, 30 to 45 seconds. It's not very long because, again, you don't want this to go too long, otherwise you end up being Charles Robinson just sitting outside the ring for 5 minutes.
Yes, and we don't want that.
So this is all going to be fast, so that means everybody's got to be on their game. But here's how it goes. Punk knows that Heyman's the one that did it. So Punk rolls out, Heyman kind of waddle runs the way that Paul does, and Punk runs after him. Paul runs into the ring, Punk also gets into the ring, and there's Brock. And Brock picks him up, and he's got him up for the F5 as Paul Heyman weasels out. But as Brock turns his body around, big boot from Damian Priest. As Brock drops as Brock drops Punk, Punk falls down, Brock's down, and Damian Priest just looks at Paul Heyman, and Heyman looks like the fear of God has washed over him. And Damian Priest just does a quick little arrow shoot, and he starts running at Heyman, and Heyman's like doing that, hey, let's talk about this, bud. Let's not just, and he's backing up, and Damian Priest is walking towards Heyman, and they're walking towards the back, and Brock, he starts to get up. His head's a little dazed. He sees that Heyman is getting chased off by Priest. He turns around. Punk has gotten back up, lifts Brock up. Second GTS. 1, 2, 3. Punk beats Brock.
Ooh. This is really interesting. Now, hold on. I have to make a joke.
Please do.
Are you ready, Sean?
Please do.
Does Paul Heyman have the upper body strength to pull anybody?
I mean, the way that he pulled those sandwiches during the Money in the Bank Titan Tower thing makes me think that he could at least hold his weight in sandwiches. So I'm not going to say
we
no.
have to find the smallest referee we possibly can. It can be Charles Robinson.
It could be. It totally could be. We mentioned his name, and I like Charles Robinson. So sure, let's go with it.
And he's a miniature enough man that Paul Heyman could somewhat believably pull his leg and pull him out of the ring.
Yeah. I think it's still viable.
But anyways, this is really interesting. I said that I want to see how you're going to push Damian Priest. This is really damn interesting because you are pushing Damian Priest with Brock Lesnar. I'm happy that you got CM Punk to win. This is good business right here because you got everybody in the position that you wanted them to, and you got nobody looks bad in this situation.
Well, thank you. And the thing is, like, the funniest part of this is that Punk gets the win, but he's almost not even the story here. Because yes, Punk used his words to kind of coerce Damian Priest into this situation, but Damian Priest also said he's not going to, Heyman's not going to stop me. That ain't going to happen again. But it ends up being Damian Priest is the only real reason that Punk won this match to begin with. But it also now furthers the fact that Damian Priest still feels like he can beat Brock Lesnar, and Paul Heyman was the reason that he was going to have Brock beat Punk. So he's evening the odds in this situation, but also making it clear that Damian Priest is not going to take the loss to Brock because of Heyman sitting down.
As he shouldn't, because again, we're talking about a very bright individual. This is a very bright individual, and his career, he's going to do good things. I think Damian Priest, the potential is there. It just needs to be scratched.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a way. Now, let me ask you this. Did you think that Damian Priest was going to be a part of this match?
Because of the tease, it's in the back of everybody's mind that he was talking to Punk. I don't know if they were going to expect him to be involved that way.
Right.
But you have to go in with that kind of thing of, well, they did talk earlier, and Punk was not wrong about certain things that he said.
Yeah, and there's justification here for everyone involved. And now, Paul Heyman could basically be like, oh, you just made the biggest mistake of your life, kid. And
you made a beast mad, and you're going to have to pay back in blood. You're going to have to pay back in damage. And Brock Lesnar is going to do that damage, and he's going to dish out the punishment.
Yeah. And
Martinez, anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say, and Priest could be like, oh, he's going to dish out the punishment. I am punishment. But
I am the Punisher.
Yeah, but that's for the coming weeks. But now we at least know.
By the way, if I just stole your promo, go ahead and give me a writing credit, please.
I will. I'll put you in the glossary.
Thank you.
Now, we've got one more. We got two more pieces here. We got the main event, but we got one more thing that we haven't done yet. Jim Ross, who we have not seen all night, is in the middle of the ring. He goes, ladies and gentlemen, this time has been allocated for the current, and I say current, commissioner of ACPW who would like to address you, the public, and we have ensured that no one else will be interfering or coming in or dialogue. This is just a talk between myself and this individual. He is currently being investigated, but for my money, he's been a hell of a commissioner, and he's a hell of a good friend who I've known for many, many years. Please welcome your commissioner of ACPW, Arn Anderson. And Arn comes down to the ring, and he's getting a pretty good ovation. He's getting a pretty damn good ovation. And Arn comes into the ring, and JR goes, well, Arn, it's been a bumpy couple of weeks for you. I mean, it's been a bumpy 3 years for you, realistically. You've got the hardest job in pro wrestling. And that's managing everybody and keeping everybody in line. And, I know you wanted this time to address ACPW fans and to address the ACPW locker room as a whole, so I'm not going to keep you from it. So why don't you tell us, Arn, what's been on your mind? First of all, Jim, I was told to inform each and every one of you, because I'm sure you're all wondering whether Cody Rhodes, your world champion, is here tonight. Well, you'll be happy or disappointed to know that despite what I've tried talking with him, I've tried reasoning with him, but he won't be deterred. He put his name on the lawsuit. Your world champion, Cody Rhodes, abandoned you people here in Orlando.
Whoa! Fuck you, Cody. Clap, 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 clap. Fuck you, Cody. Clap, 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 clap.
And while I don't disagree with you folks, when it comes to what the board sees, that's on my shoulders. And before I don't get the opportunity, in case I don't get the opportunity, I wanted to come out tonight and just address you, the public. I've always tried to be fair in ACPW. You know, I've always tried to lay the hammer down when it needed to be laid. I always tried to be reasonable with people when they did unreasonable things. But at the end of the day, I also let the boys get away with a lot here in ACPW. And the reason why is that I believe that you people deserve to watch these fights be settled in a ring rather than a courtroom. You deserve to watch these people battle it out for grudges, for titles, because ACPW is the place where feuds are settled, where blood is shed, and where the best professional wrestling is, bar none, anywhere, any place.
ACPW. ACPW.
That doesn't quite work, but I appreciate the attempt.
Thank you.
Now, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be your commissioner, Jim. You know, without getting too much into the details of this lawsuit that Cornette has filed and Cody jumped on, and actually, you'd be surprised how many names are on it. I'm not at liberty to disclose. But I don't know how much longer I'm going to have. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be here. I'm told that next week, a representative from the board of directors will be in attendance and is going to reveal the results of their investigation into my tenure as commissioner. But if it ends up being the case that I lose my job next week, I wanted to make sure I came out here and told every fan here in Orlando and every single human being who's ever watched ACPW, from the bottom of my heart, I love this place. I love what ACPW has represented. I love what ACPW has meant to each and every one of you, and has meant to me. As someone who loves pro wrestling, this place revitalized pro wrestling in a place that I viewed the industry to be old but dead on activation, not now. Because ACPW looked professional wrestling in the eye and said, yes, more of this, the best of this. And I was honored to be your commissioner. I'm still honored to be your commissioner. And from the bottom of my heart, if tonight's my last night as your commissioner, thank you. And he goes to say more, but he kind of hesitates, and you can kind of see a tear in his eye, as he's looking around, and, you hear the fans going, thank you, Arn. Thank you, Arn. Thank you, Arn. They're really appreciative of Arn. And, Arn kind of just steps back and goes to walk to the ring to leave. And JR goes, well, that's your commissioner, Arn Anderson. And before Jim Ross can close it up, Arn comes back and he goes, hold on, Jim, one more thing. One more thing. If it is in fact my last night, I got to make sure I say something real quick. Jim Cornette, you put me through hell these past 3 years. Everything you've done, every act you've committed, every easily arrestable offense that I let go, you've made my life a living hell. So much so that you might cost me my job. But you had better pray that I keep it. Because if I lose my job, I no longer have to hold myself to the morals and standards of being an authority figure in this company. I don't have to be the man who upholds the law and upholds righteousness. I don't have those restrictions anymore, and I may not be the man that I was in my youth, but I'm still the enforcer, damn it. And no matter what happens, what transpires from my job, what transpires between you and me, whether I'm here or not, is solely on your head. So I hope you're prepared, because if I lose my job, that head might come clean off.
Ooh, Glock Anderson about to make an appearance.
And then Arn leaves the ring, and the crowd is going ballistic. They didn't expect the fire from Arn Anderson. And Jim Ross goes, well, this is going to be an exciting time. We'll find out the results of what's going to happen next week as far as Arn Anderson's tenure, but obviously very appreciative of ACPW and its fans. And Matt and Taz, let's get back to you.
Glock Anderson about to go off.
Yeah, apparently. So your thoughts on Arn Anderson's promo here?
I like that you're not having Arn Anderson be pushed out without a fight. He has some fire. He's not going like a dog with his tail between his legs. Because that would be character gimmick, assassination.
Exactly. Arn's still got to be Arn. And I think the fact that now that his job is in jeopardy and he kind of covered I wasn't being, I wasn't getting angry and pushing people around because I couldn't. I'm the guy who's supposed to be the level-headed one, just trying to keep everything, in line and keep everybody happy and on par with stuff. But if I lose my job, that all goes out the window.
Yep, I like this. I like this a lot. Now, the real question, of course, is obviously going to be this. Will Arn Anderson lose his job? And if he does, the ramifications, somebody's going to have to be in charge. I mean,
yeah,
Eric Bischoff is busy, but you never know. He could make an appearance.
That's right. Well, and who knows whether they'll name a new commissioner if Arn does lose his job next week or whether that will be going forward. We'll have to find out at that time. But
again, I like this. I want to hear more about this. I want to see what happens next. And that's the thing you got to do with wrestling.
That's right.
You got to want to have the customer say, I want more.
That's right.
Give me more. Yes, Daddy.
Yes, exactly. Suckle at my teat, ACPW fans. And
fuck you, SCCG.
That's right. Well,
you're not the only one that can do weird sexual puns.
Well, it's main event time, Sky. If I can be serious for a moment and not be Lance Storm. We've got tag titles on the line. It's wrestling's finest with no Roderick Strong at ringside because that was one of the terms of the match versus Beer Money, Robert Roode and James Storm. Titles versus careers. How long do you think this match goes? And who wins?
20 minutes. I think you have to go with the Undisputed Boys. But I don't know how you're going to do it. Let's see what happens.
Well, this is a 24-minute match. And as a main event, these four would knock out a 24-minute match out of the park. Here's the finish. It's a comeback by Bobbert Roode. It's a They go back and forth.
You're trying to be serious and you say Bobbert Roode.
I know. Well, I did it by accident, but in any case. Comeback by Robert Roode. It's back and forth. He's coming back, but then, Fish and O'Reilly take over for a little bit, but then it's back and forth. But then the real comeback hits, and now we've got Bobby Fish is on the outside. James Storm is in the corner, but he's the one who's been getting the heat, so he's a little banged up. Kyle O'Reilly has Robert Roode and finally gets him in his guillotine. And he's got the guillotine on Robert Roode, and he's holding it, and he's trying to, wrench him. And Robert Roode just stands up, grabs the legs of Kyle O'Reilly, and double R spine busters him onto the ground. And Roode is hurt, and O'Reilly's hurt, but they're both at the babyface corner. So Roode has got his hand kind of like on the ropes, lifted up, and James Storm tags it with a hand, no back slaps. Go fuck yourself, Usos. And he gets the tag. He comes in, and now James Storm, he sees Kyle O'Reilly, and he's getting ready to set up the super kick, right? He's setting up the super kick, and of course, Robert Roode couldn't cover with the spine buster. He couldn't make a cover because he's just so beaten up from the guillotine. He's so weaked out, right? So both O'Reilly and Robert Roode are starting to stand up. And James Storm, he's looking for O'Reilly. He goes to hit O'Reilly. O'Reilly ducks, and Storm kicks Roode.
Oh, no.
by accident. And Storm's like, oh, snap. And just as that happens and he realizes what he's done, Bobby Fish jumps from behind, hits the Fisherman Buster, then O'Reilly covers. 1, 2, 3. Wrestling's finest retain.
Oh, no.
And Wrestling's Finest celebrate and they cheer and they're like, and they wave goodbye and, they do all the, the healing stuff. And of course they're just being snotty and the people are despising it because they realize what just happened. And they, Bobby Fish and O'Reilly get out and then Storm sits down and Rude kind of looks at him and they look around and the crowd is really showing their appreciation. Of course, they give like a hug to each other and then they kind of wave at the fans. And and they're really showing a great, huge standing ovation. And as they walk up, they walk up the ramp and they look back, and the crowd cheers, and they see that, and they kind of pat each other on the back, and they walk into the back as the show ends.
Hold on, they have to do one more thing before they go.
Raise their right hands both at each other as the gong sounds.
No, they have to look at the crowd one more time. They go down. The crowd gets ready.
Oh, beer, money. Yes, you're right.
Beer money.
They have to do it once, but their careers as beer money are over, and that's how the show ends. Midsummer Showdown in Orlando, Florida.
You're really disappointing the fans.
I am, but they're still able to show appreciation. It was a 25-minute match. It was a match that they really, they got their money's worth in the match quality, and they were there the night that Beer Money retired.
Yeah. It's hard because I like Beer Money. I really do, but they're at the end of their time, and they need to move on, and all the best to them.
Yeah. So that is the Midsummer Showdown. Your thoughts on what I would consider to be one of the most fun pay-per-views I've booked up to this point.
It is. Again, you paid off a lot of things. You had a lot of things set in motion. Again, it's kind of like my show where we're just kind of, okay, we're going to do a filler show here or there, but we're going to set up for the next thing. But I really liked what you did with these finishes. Because again, now you're getting major heat on Undisputed Era or Wrestling's Finest. They have gotten rid of 2 of the legendary tag teams of the last basically 10, 15 years.
Yeah. Who would have thought Tag Team Legend Killer would end up being a really good gimmick for them? But it is a really good gimmick for them.
Because they can be snobby about it. They're like, we retire your favorites, and we take what we want. You want to know why? Because we kill legends.
Right, and it was without Roderick Strong. It was fair this time. It wasn't like they got screwed out of this. It was a miscommunication.
Of course, the real question now is, who can stop them? What tag team can stop Wrestling's Finest? I don't know if there is a tag team that could stop them right now.
I don't know, man. You're gonna have to tune in next week to find out. And next month. Well, next month, but next week in kayfabe. But it was a hell of a show. I think your show and my show. I said it before, Skylar. When we get cooking, we come up with some really creative stuff.
Yep, agreed. And I think the series is only going to get better. Again, subscribe to the Court Martial Podcast so you can hear the next time that we do these shows.
That's right. And that's going to be in 3 or 4 weeks' time. But, of course, we got a lot more coming up on the Court Martial Podcast. It is not ending there. You want to review Clash at the Castle?
Well, yes, but next week is a pay-per-view that I get to choose that we review.
That's right. What have you chosen? Remind me.
Now, originally, we were going to do the WCW pay-per-view where Sting won the world title and then dropped the belt and then all that, right?
Well, I do remember us talking about that.
And I I have thought, I'm just like, I don't want to do that.
I understand.
Because I was like, no. But I'm feeling, if we're going to watch Clash of the Castle in 2 weeks, we should watch the other show that happened in England at the time. I'm thinking SummerSlam 1992.
I'm so game for that. I am so incredibly game for that. That should be quite fun.
Now, here's the thing. I'm going to turn you off and then turn you back on again, okay?
Okay?
There's a 28-minute match featuring the Ultimate Warrior versus Randy Savage for the WWF Championship.
Yeah, I don't seem to remember that one.
But there's also a 25-minute match between the British Bulldog and Bret Hart.
And while that match is really good, we'll see if it holds up. We'll see if it holds up. Because I remember the last time I watched it, not loving it as much as I thought I would. But maybe in my mind, maybe I'll be like Eric Bischoff and I'll just go, I changed my mind. But the only way you're going to know, folks, is to tune in next week. My voice is hoarse. Skylar is a horse. And a horse is a horse, of course, and we will see you next week right after this.